and top training equipment. Hone your skills with multi-sport goalposts or sharpen your aim with football and hurley rebounders at michaelmurphysports.ie.
I'm on my best behaviour because I'm going to be talking to Greg in 3 seconds. Congratulations to Killian McCarran from Uris, best today in his graduation from McGee College. So well done. That's a big yawn there, Greg. It's good to get it out, isn't it?
It is. I better out than in.
Yeah, come here. You had a bit of fun at the weekend?
I went down to Bundoran yesterday, down to Waterworld.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I drove through Bundoran with the boys and to show them, because I always can do the bypass, but I says, let's do the run and let's go through the town. But it looks great, the big slide and stuff.
Yes, it is. It seems good.
Did you go down it?
No, I was in Hudson duties, so.
Would you not take two?
No.
2 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And too soon to get the whole face full of water thing, but it was nice.
See, I don't know, it's probably really high, is it?
But we went next door to the park and he went on these trucks that go round in circles.
He loved it.
Full hour. Wouldn't get off them. Would not get off them. And he went from each one to the other and back to the other one up. Then he found a mate and the two of them sit in the same one and then they switched.
What did you do did you sit beside
I
him?
just handed tokens over like it was raining confetti.
Oh, it's not like it's not. Oh, you had to pay
you
for
buy
this?
20. You buy. I think you get 25 tokens for €20 or something. But
Right.
it was like one after two after the other.
Daddy, keep her going. There you go.
He would not get off.
Sure,
them.
he was happy.
And the screaming match heading back to the car.
Oh, come on now. Yeah. One more go to.
It was good. No, and it's nice to see at that age where they kind of quickly take to the water and different adventures and stuff.
Yeah, sure. The wee friends. What did you get?
But Bundoran was quiet though. It is mid-July and it was a nice day. But
what would you put the quietness down to
I
that?
haven't a clue. Don't know what the story is. Haven't been down there in ages.
Was there football on or something? Formula One was on?
Nothing. Hurling was on. I don't know, but
Yeah.
nothing. And then the weather was glorious.
Yeah.
But Miley was
Mini golfing.
playing pitch and putt in Strabane, I think, and he says he got absolutely soaked.
Isn't it funny?
Isn't it amazing?
But you see that weather forecast. You'll be reading it out.
Microclimate. I probably won't read it out.
Don't read it. Come here. Is it a good week ahead of us? You're always on
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, nice, calm, should be nice and warm.
What about the rest of this week? What about Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday?
Changeable.
Enjoy the
But
day
high
then.
pressure building towards the end of the week, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
High pressure means rain then.
High pressure means no rain. Low pressure is high pressure comes from the south. Low pressure comes from the north. So low pressure bad, high pressure good.
High pressure good. Like blood pressure, isn't it? Me blood pressure.
There'll be a wee window for silage the end of this week. Now you'll see some activity.
Some
I'll
grass
tell
cutting.
you. Aye.
I'll tell you, I'm away to cut my dad's grass now this morning.
Good man.
You know
you're such a lick.
No, but sure. Do you know? It's nice to do the help out.
You're a lick. All right. Thanks.
Good luck.
See you, Lee. It is the 9 till noon show, just approaching 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and cross over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The new British Prime Minister has arrived in Northern Ireland where he is meeting Stormont leaders. Keir Starmer's likely to be asked about funding for public services and the redevelopment of Casement Park Stadium, which is supposed to be part of Euro 2028. He's also expected to be told to make good on Labour's manifesto pledge to repeal the controversial Troubles Legacy Act. New Northern Ireland Secretary Hilary Benn was asked about that on his visit to Belfast yesterday.
Look, as soon as possible. We have said in our manifesto, as you will have noticed, we are committed to repeal and replace it. And I think we have to look at the component parts of the legacy legislation.
Donegal County Council's defective concrete block grant committee will meet today for the first time in the current council term. 4 100% redress party councillors were elected in June's local election, with one of them expected to be named as chair of the committee. They will take over from Councillor Martin McDermott, who has been committee chair since its inception. The meeting will get underway at County House Slifford at 10 o'clock. The FAI is to hold a media briefing following allegations made by female football players in the 1990s. Multiple female players have come forward to allege inappropriate behaviour and inappropriate sexual advances from certain FAI coaches at the time. The named officials deny any wrongdoing. Donegal County Council is seeking expressions of interest for the provision of emergency accommodation. The council is also interested in hearing from property owners who may be interested in selling for social housing purposes. Eamon Torsney has more.
The council is appealing to proprietors of apartments, houses, hostels and guest house accommodation who wish to have their facilities or rooms included on the council's list of retained emergency accommodation for families and individuals requiring emergency and short to medium term accommodation to come forward. Family and single rooms may be required to meet emergency accommodation needs as they arise. Meanwhile, the council is also inviting expressions of interest from the owners of property which may be suitable for social housing purposes and they are interested in selling. Properties can be in towns and villages and can include existing houses or apartments, commercial units, derelict buildings and sites and parcels of land, greenfield and brownfield sites. Ideally, the council says properties should be close to sustainable communities and within walking distance of amenities and services, and any land being offered should be suitably zoned. More information is available on donegal.co.ie.
Part of the Milford to Ramelton Road will be closed over the coming days to facilitate sewage main installation works. The route between Mahara Drummond Road and Moss Road will be closed from today until Friday between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. each day. Diversions will be in place. Finally, for weather, mostly dry today with sunny spells. However, well scattered showers will break out as the day goes on, some heavy. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
Darren knows these roads. He knows every turn, every tree, every person's house. He knows when he wants to put his foot down. But here's something he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Jim is searching for his phone and has taken his eye off the road, just around the corner ahead. Darren doesn't know this, but they're both about to find out very quickly. Even if you know the road, you don't know what's coming. Say no to speeding. A message from the Road Safety Authority. Visit rsa.ie.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, good morning, and you're very welcome along to another week of the 9 till noon show. It is Monday, the 8th of July, 3 minutes past 9, and we're open for business now for the next 3 hours on this show. We've got lots of interesting stuff lined up for you, of course, but we want to hear what you want to talk about as well, if there is no overlap. It's 086, well, that sounded terrible. What I'm trying to say is we've got stuff lined up, but we want to talk about stuff that you want to talk about as well. 086 60 25,000 is the WhatsApp and text number. You can send your WhatsApp voice notes to that number as well if that suits you better. If you want to give us a call, it's 07491 25,000, and emails, comments at highlandradio.com. Of course, as always, you can watch the programme if you're at home on your smart TV, your Fire Stick, on the YouTube channel. We're at Highland Radio Ireland. Why watch this morning talking about things in southeast England when you can be watching us talking about things in the northwest and beyond? And also we're on Facebook and we're on the X platform as well. Right, let's start with the papers. The Donegal news this morning. I'm not sure if you have a view on this, but Donegal County Council is reminding the public that the newly designed Diamond area in Donegal town is now a pedestrian zone and all vehicles should be parked in nearby car parks. The Diamond reopened to the public on Friday, June 28th, following an extensive regeneration project. And according to the council, there's been a hugely positive reaction to the newly opened iconic Diamond area. A council spokesperson added, in particular, the new Canopy entertainment space has provided a fantastic opportunity for hosting community events all year round. Now, they also go on to say that Donegal Town Diamond is an inclusive, accessible and welcoming pedestrian space for both locals and visitors to the town. And they want to emphasise that it's for pedestrians and not for other vehicles. And really, the only vehicles I can recall back when the Diamond wasn't there in its current form, and it was a car park. Do you remember that? I wonder if you were ever down in Donegal Town, or if you're from that area. Those days are long gone. But it is very popular space for bikers to pull in on the Diamond and sit there and have a chat, have a cup of coffee. Never any talk of any issues whatsoever. Obviously incredibly peaceful and mature and all that. It's just the fact they used to park the bikes there. Now they seem to be being told not to. And I wonder, I think there's only 3 or 4 or 5 designated motorbike spaces, and they're down by the quay in Donegal Town. I just wonder, is it losing something in that regard? As I say, the guys and girls used to land there, pull the bikes in, sit around, have a chat. I never found it a problem personally. But it seems the council are reminding them and others that that's no longer acceptable. What do you think about that? Do you have a view? 086 60 25,000 WhatsApps and texts to that number. I do know some biking organisations, they have the wee traditions, are not happy about it. We don't want to sort of legislate ourselves out of the way we used to be either, but I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. That's why I'm throwing it out to you, the listener there. The Derry News front page dominated by a picture. Eastwood retains Foyle seat. Closer than expected, SDLP leader Colm Eastwood is re-elected as Foyle MP despite challenge from Sinn Féin. More reports of votes and elections on the front of the Irish Times. This time in France. It's quite interesting to see what's happening there, because what happens in one part of Europe can generally sort of ripple out to the rest. But French voters defied expectations by rallying behind parties of the left and centre to prevent the far right from taking power, according to parliamentary election exit polls. Marine Le Pen's far-right National Rally had been expected to emerge as the largest party in the parliament, but projections suggest it finished third in the election. The New Popular Front, a broad coalition of the left formed in the days after the snap election was called, came first in what was seen as one of the most significant elections in the history of the Fifth Republic. Now, they've sort of attributed voters making this decision, and they did, of course, because you can't get elected without votes. But what the left and centre-left did actually do is tactically remove candidates from certain areas so as not to split the vote in advantage of Le Pen's party. So they have 150 odd seats now compared to 90 before, so they have made significant gains, but it took tactical candidate removal of the centre and left of centre, to keep the far right out. The bulk of the coalition is made up of the France Unbowed, the radical left-wing party of Jean-Luc Mélenchon, and the centre-left Socialist Party, as well as the Greens, Communists and others. President Emmanuel Macron, centrist coalition, lost a significant number of seats, but the exit polls projected it would finish in second place after a fight back to shore up support over the last week. So it took tactics, it has to be said. There was a significant programme last night on RTE. It was a joint programme between RTE and the Sunday Independent, I believe, and it focused on women's football. If you watch that and have any reaction to it, or indeed if you were involved in the game and have an insight into that, we would greatly appreciate your input. But a group representing female footballers who have spoken out about alleged unwanted or inappropriate sexual advances from FAI coaches in the 90s say they want their pain to be the next generation's gain. In a statement issued in relation to the joint investigation by RTE Investigates and the Sunday Independent, the former players said they hope that what we experienced should provide lessons for the future, and we hope for the FAI and all other sporting bodies. The programme, Girls in Green, was broadcast on RTE1 television last night. It is the subject of detailed reports in the Sunday Independent and on the Irish Independent website. I don't know if you saw that, if you have a reaction to it. I didn't get to see it. It's on the list, but was back late and just didn't have the energy for it. The Irish Daily Mail this morning, undercover Garda and immigration officials are targeting bus and rail services used by suspected illegal immigrants to get into the country via the border. Operation Sonnet, which was set up over 10 years ago, is a Garda initiative which attempts to stop people crossing the border with the North who do not have the right documentation. Statistics released to the Mail show there were days of action on average every 2 weeks this year, with Gardaí, immigration officials as well as members of the PSNI conducting checks on busy motorways on the border. Gardaí and immigration staff are going undercover and using covert tactics to gather intelligence on suspected human traffickers who are being paid thousands to help smuggle vulnerable people here. There were 10 days of action, more in the inside of that paper this morning. The Irish Star this morning tells us that Garda are investigating after a letter was posted to the family home of convicted Irish soldier Cathal Crotty, warning him to leave his home in County Clare or face the threat of being kidnapped and harmed. The threatening letter was sent to Mr. Crotty's family residence last Wednesday. He received a fully suspended 3-year sentence 2 weeks ago after he was convicted of a vicious and cowardly and unprovoked assault on Natasha O'Brien in Limerick City Centre on May 29th, 2020. I don't see the logic of, often you see, not necessarily specific to this case, being opposed to violence and threatening violence in return. The letter, which was addressed to Cathal Crotty's father, began, "Mr. Crotty, please understand this letter has nothing to do with you, so nothing will be done to you or your home. But if you do as we ask, all isn't lost. However, in not doing as we ask, it will be a very sad story indeed for your son, Cathal." On to the Mirror now, and apparently there's going to be a bumper package budget. We talked about this on Friday. A lavish €5 billion package for the government's final budget before the next general election is expected. Plans are on the way for a tax and spending bundle, according to the Sunday Business Post. Finance Minister Jack Chambers was finalising details of the summer economic statement with Public Expenditure Minister Paschal Donohoe at the weekend. This will outline spending parameters for Budget 25 and will be published tomorrow. It's expected that core spending will increase by at least $4 billion compared to Budget 24, along with a $1.5 billion tax package outlined. As outlined in the Stability Programme update in April, there's expected to be a provision for $4.5 billion on non-core expenditure, and this would be in line with last year's budget and has become recurrent in the past few years. And lastly, on to The Sun. 2FM staff are livid over a public call-out from RTE for new talent. They need presenters after Doreen Garrity, Jennifer Zamparelli and the two Johnnies all quit in recent weeks. Insiders say station employees got no prior warning about the shout-out on 2FM's Instagram page. It stated RTE 2FM as presenting roles available in single or double header roles. So they're hiring, but the staff down there apparently weren't too happy that they weren't told in advance. Big win for Cork yesterday in the hurling. 128 to Limerick's 29 points. Didn't see it. Supposedly a fantastic game. I'm sure we'll talk about that and the rest of the weekend's JEA action. A good win for the Donegal ladies. We'll look forward to next week. We'll look forward to what's coming up on the DL Debate podcast. That's when Brendan Devaney joins us after 11, and it's a special. It's broadcast live from Highland Motors just across the road from us. That's later on. We'll tell you much more about that, though, as this morning wears on. It is the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Kelly's Centra and Diner, Mountaintop Letterkenny, winner of Best Family Dining at the Highland Radio Hospitality Awards. The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Did you know lots of babies feed much more in the evening than during the day? When you get used to your baby's routine, you can adjust yours too, so you can sit down and feed when your baby is usually hungry. Visit mychild.ie for advice on pregnancy, baby and toddler health.
I'm making a move. Looking for real choice? Leave diesel behind and make the move to Toyota Hybrid Electric at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. World-leading hybrid electric technology, lower emissions driving, with the widest choice of hybrid electric models from Ireland's best-selling car brand. With flexible payment options available, make the move today at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world.
Eurodreams is the new game from the National Lottery, where you could win €20,000 a month for the next 30 years. That's €20,000 every month for 30 years. Draws take place every Monday and Thursday, so pick up a Eurodreams ticket for your chance to win.
Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is...
The time is 9:15. You're very welcome back to the programme. We'll be joined a little later on, in fact shortly, by Troy Gallaher, a Labour councillor in Britain. He's from Letterkenny though, and just having a look through the electoral changes in Britain following the general election there. Keir Starmer, he seems to have hit the ground running. I don't know if you have any assessment of that. He is determined to reset relationships. That seems to be the buzzword between the French, the Scottish, the Welsh, the Northern Irish, and so on and so forth. I love dogs, says a caller, and have a small one. but I've noticed more and more people are out walking them with no leads. I met a person walking his dog, which was much bigger than mine, and I then felt a bit intimidated by them. Why are there not more signs on beaches telling people to make sure their dogs are on leads? I just get the impression that those who are inclined not to put their dogs on the lead aren't going to be convinced otherwise by a sign. But anyway, to whom it may concern, ask Alexia, are they cloud seeding over Ireland, and listen to the response from AccuWeather. Ask Alexa, what are they spraying, and is it dangerous to humans? On another conspiracy, or maybe just a question that needs answers, 7 degrees last night. I saw some images of clouds from Ukraine, and of course no planes are flying over Ukraine, and the exact same clouds as we have here, which I thought was quite interesting. I was driving past Mr. Price at Ballyrain Road at roughly 4:15. I saw a girl in an electric wheelchair who couldn't get past the coffee van because of a black car on the road right on the footpath. She was very distressed, and trying to get around the car meant getting run over on the road. It was very upsetting. We really have to be conscious, and sometimes, we're all in such a rush. We're all in such a rush that we don't necessarily take into consideration what others might be going through, especially if they've in a wheelchair or pushing a pram for that matter, or whatever it might be. Just to keep an eye out. I think that's the message there. There are 2 flags raised in Moville, Donegal, and the Ireland flag. No issue with that. On Friday morning, I noticed the American flag flying in the town square. I don't care that it's the 4th of July. Why would any town erect an American flag? A flag which supports genocide in Palestine. Who puts this flag up? I called the council and they say it's not them. I mean, does it really? The way I would view it, firstly, I don't get really too excited about flags, to be honest with you, unless it's obviously offensive or what have you. But one of the things that Israel is guilty of is collective responsibility, or collective punishment, should I say. They're punishing and effectively wiping out an entire population because of the horrific actions of a small group of individuals relative to it. I think to say that the American flag represents a support of genocide in Palestine does a disservice to the many, many people that are protesting in America against the actions of the Israelis and the American support for them. So, as I say, if we don't want collective punishment on one side, should we be looking at collective punishment on the other? We have a lot of American people here. We've got a lot of Irish living in America. We've got a lot of American companies here that are offering great employment. Is it really that offensive a flag? And should we really be judging everyone under that flag for the actions of a government? I'm not sure. I applied on Thursday afternoon at 3 p.m. for the renewal of my passport. On Friday morning at 11 a.m. I got notified it'd been dispatched. That's less than 24 hours. Impressive. They really do turn around. The straightforward renewals really, really quick. Right, okay. Prime Minister of Britain, Keir Starmer, is in Belfast for the second stop of his UK tour of the dissolved nations. He will meet the leaders of the power-sharing executive and other senior politicians before heading to Cardiff later. Back in London, Rachel Reeves will give her first major speech as Chancellor later, telling business leaders she'll make economic growth a national mission. Meanwhile, new Health Secretary Wes Streeting will hold talks with the Dentists' Union about getting more urgent NHS appointments in England. New MEPs will also start arriving in Westminster, a settling-in day as they take up their jobs. Councillor Troy Gallaher, a Labour councillor in London from Letterkenny. Good morning, Troy.
Good morning, Craig. How are you today?
I'm doing good, and it seems that the Prime Minister Keir Starmer is very determined to hit the ground running. A lot of stuff happening in short space.
Yeah, absolutely. After the disastrous years of Tory rule, the nightmare years are finally over. People are crying for a change and to see actually not just talk, but actions and deliveries, and no more so in particular with relationship between the Anglo-Irish relations between the Irish government and the British government, which is why on Friday he said it's time to get to work, and he has said about his cabinet getting straight down to business. It's no coincidence that Hilary Benn, the new Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, Helping in Northern Ireland for the last 2 years now as shadow secretary of state, getting to know the people, getting to know the politicians and the real issues, not just the issues that affect Stormont and Ireland, but understanding the complexities and the nuances of that relationship and the importance of relationships and trust between both Stormont political leaders, Michelle O'Neill and Emma Pingali, and with the Taoiseach and Taoiseach.
I suppose in the run-up to this election, it was clear, regardless of which, whether it's the Conservatives or the Labour or whoever, what they could promise was limited by sort of financial headroom, so to speak, because of the condition of the economy. But that doesn't mean that policies can't change. It doesn't mean that money can't be redirected or perhaps better spent. So there is plenty of latitude maybe to make people's lives better if the right decisions are made.
Absolutely, and that's going to be key between Dublin and London as well. It is about both the communications, because don't forget, Britain has left the EU, so there was never a proper chance to have conversations apart from formal bilateral agreements, either individual or between the phone. Now it's important to set up to have that communication and engagement, and to be able to sense check some stuff, not just between the officials behind the scene, but also with ministers and Taoiseach and PM themselves. I think the other key thing about this, Greg, which is equally important, that Labour has always been, has always historically been good relations with Ireland. Keir Starmer sees the really importance of this and of the fact of their special relationship for Britain and Dublin being co-guarantors of the Good Friday Agreement, which is something that Boris and Liz Truss took so flippantly in the past, and there is that responsibility for that co-guarantor and that equality of relationship between Dublin and London to ensure the consistent approach towards Northern Ireland and improve the structures.
Yeah, and he's working with a different sort of makeup in Northern Ireland. It's really quite remarkable when you think about it. It's not that long ago that the DUP had 10 seats and, really had the balance, had an awful lot of influence in terms of politics in Britain, so to speak. Now they're down to 5. Sinn Féin are the number one party, but they haven't really moved anywhere. They just managed to hold on to what they have. Keir Starmer says he's determined to work with everybody. But as I say, it is a sort of a different political environment now than it was, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to see that also in the approach towards the legacy bill, controversial as what it is. It's, as Keir said over the weekend, all the political parties in Northern Ireland oppose the legacy bill. The people oppose the legacy bill. The Irish government obviously had to take the UK government to court. So there's going to be, Keir has made it very clear he wishes to repeal that, and that's going to be enacted. And that will help itself not just find a way forward. Okay, if we say the Legacy Commission has been established, the actual body, Hilary Grant's going to review the governance to hold that to account, see what that is, future of that's going to be. But the actual repeal of the legacy bill is key towards improving relations in Northern Ireland and also with the Irish government. And I think, if I may, Greg, I think the fact that Keir Starmer is equally keen to reset ties with the EU, and that word reset is important because he used it many times over the weekend about Northern Ireland, about the Irish government relations, and about the EU. And with that, rebuilding of relationships, Keir's going to be very keen to ensure that the veterinary agreement is passed with the EU to improve trade on livestock and reduce border checks. So it'll need Ireland as an ally on that, and of course we're very keen to do so. But that'll be one of the benefits of being able to work and sort out the issues, the interstate issues of the legacy agreement.
Yeah, and of course too, there are other things that happen in London that affect us. For example, the Rwanda plan. Obviously, the better his relations with particularly the French, but EU more generally, perhaps they can work together to try and stop this awful situation of people perishing, travelling between the Europe mainland and Britain. But also the Rwanda plan was a driver of immigration into Ireland, because you had people who'd been living long-term in Britain. They were fearful of being put on a plane and sent to Rwanda, so we're going into Belfast and travelling down south, making up around about, it was stated at one time, 80% of new arrivals into Ireland. So again, if the Rwanda plan is scrapped, better relations with France to deal with the migration problem there, that does have an impact and effect on the situation in Ireland.
Absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head there. And again, as a result of that reset and rebuilding of relations, the issues of immigration that the Irish government have and are currently dealing with, they've obviously passed the migration bill and through the Dáil 2 weeks ago. That relationship with Keir Starmer, both in terms of tone, language, and on trust, will also ensure that better working relationship to deal with some of our own immigration issues in collaboration with working together with Britain. So they're a more cordial response, I believe. And I think that's one of the benefits of the better relationship, to deal with these sort of issues and have those discussions outside the formal context.
You listen, I know you're a Labour representative, but be that as it may, and this is, I mean, I've no skin in the game at all, but as you go through the various issues, as you talk about the rebuilding of relationships, it really does point to the chaos, the policy chaos, particularly of the Conservatives, most notably over the last number of years, but not exclusively, that there's so much to be undone.
Yeah, there is, and I use the word nightmare years deliberately, but to use the old political context, the old political line from the 80s, when you look back at how much damage was done, the sheer incompetence, the political and moral bankruptcy of Boris Johnson, it really was grotesque, unbelievable, bizarre, and unprecedented. And it's towards the last 2 years post-Brexit, it was Irish councillors like myself, those who are involved in diaspora and Anglo-Irish relations. It was just the sheer frustration that the flippancy and the uncaring, the senior leaders of the government just did not care about Northern Ireland, weren't interested in the issues. The Good Friday Agreement is with this macho image. We have left Brexit, we're getting Brexit done, and we're standing on our own, and we're taking back control. And it was this whole attitude, just no interest in working. Yeah, they fit it out the way that we work, or not at all. And you can see the damage not toward the economy, but towards relationships. And to be fair to Rishi Sunak, with the Windsor Agreement, he did try and make some effort, both with the Taoiseach and the Taoiseach then, to repair some of the damage on that there that's been done. But again, it is going to take a lot of hard work in order to rebuild that. Because we had come so far, and the carelessness of the, and I think there's a great sense, not just a great sense of hope, Greg, but there's a real great sense of trust and belief that Labour that this needs to work. And of course, they're our nearest neighbour and their ally, and I think that to strengthen that relationship, people will be keen, because, as you rightly said, it is equally in Ireland's best interest too, as our nearest neighbour, to sort out some of our own problems that are coming from the government.
Troy, what do you think of the system in that, Labour got 34% of the 50-odd% of people that bothered to vote, and that was enough for a landslide, 63%. Another thing that I think is quite stands out to me is you would have got the Reform UK, whether you like them or not, 14% of the vote. They returned 1% of the seats in the Houses of Parliament, and yet the Lib Dems, they had 12% of the vote and take 11% of the seats. It's a funny old system, isn't it? I wonder how representative it really is, the first past the post system, because, as I say, obviously that's quite favourable for Labour, but like the Lib Dems, 12% of the vote, 11% of seats, Reform 14%, 1% of the seats. It doesn't feel very democratic.
No, and that's a fair challenge. And believe it or not, it has been highlighted throughout this election. This has been equally as much of the topic of conversation towards after the weekend about that. I think both the Tories, well, maybe not the Tories now because they've lost, but Tories and Labour, there probably been no outwardly appetite towards that. But there certainly is within sections of the Labour Party now, particularly in the level of results and of the rise of reform. And I think that'll be a topic of conversation in the months ahead to look towards, ask the question, should we have a goal move towards proportional representation, which is the Dems have been advocating towards. And yeah, it could be seen as it is a fair system because it gives everyone a voice. It's better engagement, you're supposed to say, because if you look at the fact that perhaps only about 60% of the population voted, 40% didn't, and what people say to me and to others is there's no point in going, I've got a Labour MP or I've got a Tory MP. It's not going to change the safe seat. But I think equally important, Greg, is, and I mean this with great respect, is the volatility of the election results. Because you'll see that Labour only won because Reform stood in some key Tory seats. And you'll see Tory voters have moved to vote Labour in order to get the Tories out. And the question political analysts rightly said, look, here we were expecting to be 2 elections before Labour came back into power. It was done in 5 years. So if the Tories get their act together, could they actually come back in 5 years' time?
But it just makes it's a two-party system though, really, and it's the turkeys aren't going to vote for Christmas. But anyway, I take your point.
That's right.
Now let's just talk a little bit. It's a little bit more frivolous, but important nonetheless. And the Donegal connection, Keir Starmer and his wife. There's a Donegal connection there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there is. Keir Starmer honeymooned in Donegal when he got married to Vic, and so came across, loved Donegal, and equally comes here on holidays quite regularly when he gets a chance. And he also wears the Donegal jersey when he plays five-a-side football, which he's known to do both in.
I thought that photo was photoshopped. Actually, do you know that? I didn't realise that was actually him.
No.
Okay.
No, that's and I mean, I haven't seen him in person wearing it, but I know fellow councillors who've played football with him, and I've seen him wearing the Donegal jersey. And so I think, one of the key things for us, apart from hopefully that he comes to Donegal, will be great, particularly with Donegal County Council and with the North West Economic Forum, reinforce the good work that we're doing on that there.
Kind of interesting because, of course, Tony Blair has quite strong connections to Ballyshannon in the south of the county as well. Pat McFadden, huh?
I was kind of thinking about the by-last meetings. It wouldn't it be a lovely idea if Simon and Micheál invited Keir to watch Donegal win an All-Ireland final? That would be a great little thing for the county and for Keir to see how Jimmy wins matches.
Nice. Pat McFadden's a regular on this programme as well. His star is rising. And of course, his Donegal connections are a bit more obvious and real, if you know what I mean.
Indeed.
And Matthew Doyle. Doyle's a name I'm not familiar with.
Now, Matthew Doyle was director in Tony Blair's Downing Street, and was one of the inner sanctum. Lovely individual, powerful person, particularly in relation to communications, well known around as one of the chief backroom people and fixers to get things done, and was prominent post Good Friday Agreement. A well-known name. Equally important, Greg, is Morgan McSweeney. Now, Morgan McSweeney, here, if there's any one individual like here and the Labour Party who was the last flight to Morgan McSweeney. Morgan McSweeney's from Macroom. He was originally with Steve Reid to sort out the issues of racism within Lewisham. Then he came to work for Keir Starmer, and it was him who said, this is how we have an efficient election strategy. And it was him who was able to say, we focus the limited resources we've got on our target areas and constituencies. We want to take off the Tories, which is why even on election day that safe states that are deemed like Emily Thornbury says in South and Finsbury, everyone went out to Oxbridge or to Dover and Dale to be able to get out the vote on that day. So it was his award-winning election strategy that delivered the result that it did. So hats off to the Macroom man, Morgan McSweeney.
And finally, on your own political future, Troy, I keep hearing your name being mentioned in the context of the general election.
Well, it's great that my name's out there. I've heard that too, and it's great, it's a great honour to be mentioned and thought about that, but a lot to think about at the minute. It's speculation, but, if and when the opportunity actually presents itself, I certainly have time to, think about it and make a decision, but there's a lot to think about between now and then.
Is it idle speculation? It's not idle speculation, though.
No, it's not idle speculation, but there's a lot to think about, Greg, and should the opportunity actually, should the opportunity arise, one of the things that I would be doing, as I have done before, is take the opportunity to serve the people, and do the best, and hopefully improve the lives of people and the communities that I serve, should I be called to serve. But there's a lot to think about, and when the time comes to make a decision, I promise you and Caroline, you will be the first to know.
Good stuff. I'll take that. All right, Troy, thank you very much indeed. That's Councillor Troy Gallaher, a Labour councillor from Letterkenny, of course.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
Imagine a wedding venue that can be hired exclusively for you and your guests. Picture stunning views overlooking one of Donegal's most scenic beaches, an authentic country manor as your accommodation, incredible glass-fronted marquee views all day, and a team of experts who want to help you plan every step of the way. Sounds too good to be true? Not at Drumhallah House in Rathmullen. It really has to be seen to be believed. Visit drumhallahhouse.ie or check out Drumhallah House on Instagram for more details.
Hey, got some old household electrical appliances or batteries lying around? Recycle them for free with We Ireland in partnership with Donegal County Council at our special collection day on Wednesday 10th of July in Derrybeg at Car Park Unit 23, Gidor Business Park beside Teha Biogacho, Derrybeg from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll accept anything household with a plug or battery. See weeireland.ie.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Brian McCormick Sports, your home for fitness trainers. The new impressive Ghost 16. Soft and smooth experience with every step. Oka Clifton 9. Even lighter for everyday miles in new summer colours. Get your free delivery on bmcsports.ie.
So, the newly revamped Diamond in Donegal town is open for business, but the council are iterating that it is for pedestrians only. They don't want any vehicles parked on it. Now, that to me feels like it might be directed towards the motorcycling community, because the only traffic I can ever recall parking on it are motorbikes, and it would not be an unfamiliar sight to those of you from Donegal town, or those of you who've been down there visiting. Just a couple of comments. Sure, whatever about bikes. You couldn't park cars in the Diamond for years. No, of course not. But I mean, it used to be a car park, but it is seemingly specifically to bikes. Another listener says, I've been coming to Donegal for about 33 years. I lived there in the town for 2 years. Every Sunday, you always had the bikers. It added atmosphere, and they were an attraction to the Diamond, and yet the council have cut them off completely. Will you whine when you do obviously lose the revenue, because the shops, etc., that bikers used to spend their money on sure will, with the loss of revenue? Give the town back their welcoming nature, as Donegal is well known for. Newly elected or recently elected independent councillor Jimmy Brogan's with me now. Hi, Jimmy.
How's it going? Greg, how are you?
I'm going good, Jimmy. I mean, this kind of come out of the blue over the last couple of days. What's your take on this sort of this commentary from the council?
Yeah, well, it's come out of the blue. I only heard about it sort of last week as well, that the bikes were going to be stopped parking on the Diamond on a Sunday. Listen, I think it's a bit silly, really. You know, the bikes have been there for years, as people have said. They don't really do any harm, or don't do any harm at all. You know, they always, you know, I've often been on the Diamond on a Sunday when I've seen plenty of bikes there. And they're always very courteous. They leave no mess behind them. There's never any trouble, apart from maybe a few tire marks on the footpath or something, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be there. And as well as that too, there's nowhere else for bikes to park. I was just chatting to a biker yesterday actually on this point, and he told me there was 6 designated biker parking spots in the whole of the town, and they're down at the pier. So there's nowhere else for the bikes to go, and as other people have said, there's it creates a bit of revenue around the town. If you get, there's often 40 or 50 bikes parked there, or maybe more sometimes, and if you get 40 or 50 people mulling around the town, they're going to be buying coffees and teas and ice cream and Lord knows what else, so I just don't see the point in moving them,
And also, too, I've never heard of any issues with access in the past, I'll be honest with you. Now, people might come up and say there was now as we're talking about it, but also, too, these are a certain demographic of bikers as well, for the most part. Many of them also involved in charity runs and what have you. They are not the Hells Angels, if you know what I mean. They're,
No, it probably came to a head this weekend, too, because Sandra's Run was on Kellybegs this weekend. And it creates a lot of money. It generates a lot of money for charity, and there's a lot of there's other charity runs that are started at the Diamond and take off around the county,
Do you think the press release from the council was to preempt Sandra's Run? In other words, we know this is upcoming, we know they park on the Diamond, and we're telling you before the weekend not to. It seems a bit.
Well, it probably was. They knew there'd be hundreds of bikers around Donegal down the Sunday. The Sandra's Run was on Saturday, I think. So, there's a lot of bikers around Kellybegs for the weekend and around Donegal town for the weekend. People came from other parts of the county or country, and stayed around for the weekend. So they probably did try to preempt it, but listen, I just don't see the point in it. I don't think they're doing any harm.
Mm-hmm.
And and you're on about access. I've never seen any problem now. And listen, the bikers, they're always very easy to talk to. I've talked to plenty of them. If there's a problem with access, then you can talk to the bikers and tell them, just make sure there's plenty of access for people, pedestrians and people with prams, wheelchairs, and whatever else.
Yeah, Jimmy. Sometimes you just wonder where do we want to go? With our towns and what have you. Donegal town's bypassed. We know that, but it still is done very, very well. But it's a vibrant town. There's a lot of vibrancy in it. Ballyshannon would give their eye teeth, I think, sometimes for the type of sort of traffic and buzz. And that's no disrespect to Ballyshannon, by the way. But do you get where I'm coming from? Do you know, what kind of an urban area are we trying to create? Just people.
The Diamond is a great meeting spot, for everybody. Because it's the centre of the town. And I know they have problems now with parking and stuff as well. And the one-way system in Donegal's created a bit of a problem. But at the end of the day, you have all these people that they're going to be. They want somewhere to meet. And the Diamond's. Listen, it's a good spot to meet. It's the centre of the town. And listen, I think most of the pedestrians, most of the people love to see the bikes there. I've never heard, apart from one or two people, I've never heard too many people complaining.
All right, Jimmy, do we have to be careful though? Do we have to be careful, and maybe because we don't hear the voice, not think it's there? Maybe this is a new centre that's supposed to be very family friendly, very accessible, and would we maybe not hear from people in a wheelchair or the visually impaired or people with buggies that might want to go in there? I'm not saying the bikes block the way, don't get me wrong, but for some maybe it's an intimidating sight. Do we have to be careful that those voices maybe aren't lost? I'm not saying even that they're there, I don't know, but sometimes we sort of think from our own perspective where it wouldn't bother you or I. We're not bikers, but we could move around freely, but just maybe someone else might find the noise a bit intimidating. Maybe I don't know, maybe the high revs might, bother people with sensory issues. I don't know. Do we have to make sure that we are we're not knee-jerking to this?
Well, it's possible. I don't know. I've never heard anybody complaining, to be honest. It could be possible. They don't be sitting there revving their bikes. They park their bikes and they sit around the Diamond. They don't sit in there revving their bikes. And they're not. It's possible that some people may find it intimidating. I don't see why, because most of the bikers are very friendly.
Yes,
and any kids that come along, I've often seen people come along. My own kids have come along and sat on some of the fancy bikes, and had pictures taken, and the bikers have no problem with it. So listen, I don't see it as a problem. Maybe it is, and if that is a problem, then maybe I haven't heard of it, but I just can't see it. You know?
All right, I'm just throwing it out there. I just want to make sure that every voice kind of gets heard if it's there. All right, and you're the same, of course. Councillor Jimmy Brogan, thank you very much for that. What do you say out there? 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 07491 25,000. Let's see. Donegal don't seem to want anything first. They complain about the tourists in camper vans. Now it's the bikers. They don't deserve anyone to visit there. I'm sure the bikers will spend the money in another town, and good luck to them. We do have to be careful, because as I was listening to Jimmy there, I was thinking that, if you're a dog owner, it doesn't feel like, even if you're a responsible dog owner, would you come holidaying in Donegal? Because there's obviously some irresponsible dog ownership, but then it kind of is this sense that maybe we're not very dog friendly. I don't know. Camper vans are being chased all over the place as well. Now motorbikes. As I said, that's what I was trying to put to Jimmy. Like, what kind of a town centre-y type area do we want? I mean, the big buzz is when, some of these vintage car shows come into certain areas, or these fancy car runs, and they're welcomed in as a massive treat. And here we have all these fancy bikes parked, not generally causing an obstruction, and we're going, oh no, you can't do that. A caller says, give us people a chance to enjoy a place of calm and serenity. We're being squeezed of the earth with traffic, all types of traffic, please. Thank you, says Mary. Indeed. Like, I would get that if Donegal was kind of pedestrianised, Donegal town, that is. But, I mean, you go in there on a Sunday, there's, probably 5 buses blocking the traffic at the Abbey. There's probably, 4 or 5 cars double parked along where the Bank of Ireland is. It's not like it's necessarily serene to begin with. Anyway, have you any further comments in relation to that? 086 60 25,000. This caller does. People are talking about how much tickets are for the All-Ireland final, etc., priced around €100. I was looking at prices for Ireland versus England in the Nations Cup in September and was shocked. Tickets are from €250 to €135. Who can afford tickets at those prices? Not me. That's a package holiday somewhere off season. It's crazy. You know what? Maybe they all need to price themselves out of it. Maybe it's better that half the grounds are half empty half the time, because eventually maybe the penny will drop. These sports are of the people. If it isn't for us, they ain't there. Good morning, Greg. So the rainy day account was really the buying the public vote about account, it seems. The rainy day account. Yeah, okay, I get you. Well, you see, they're still lodging money into the rainy day account. They're not taking that money out to spend the budget. But anyway, when are we going to talk about housing immigrants, and is it worth it? We aren't getting value for tax money. 2 homeless Irishmen found in 4 feet of water not far from a tent city. Certainly not suspicious at all. I think we don't want to lose the run of ourselves as well. There's this is separate to immigration, but we have to remember, and we should have the resources for it, but homelessness in this country is not simply just down to the fact that people don't have anywhere to live. Often other services are required. There could be addiction issues or what have you. And also to say, for instance, the accommodation that's provided for homeless people, a lot of homeless people won't go into it because they might be coming off drugs in some cases. I'm talking about the minority of them, and they don't feel it's safe for a place that they can go for temptation. So there's an awful lot going on there. It's not simply a case of building loads of houses and homeless move in. There needs to be wraparound services in many cases, not all cases, of course, but in many cases in the urban areas, I think. Okay, we're going to have a good news story in terms of a thank you to staff at Letterkenny University Hospital. That's coming up after these.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're organising an event, you might be surprised by everything BizPrint offer. From photo props, backdrops and banners to tablecloths, pens, keyrings and mugs. Everything to make your event a success. Call BizPrint on 9177955 or see bizprint.ie.
Are you tired of living with knee pain? At Kingsbridge Northwest, our team of experts can help you say goodbye to discomfort and hello to a brighter future. Where innovation meets excellence in orthopaedic care, or robotic-assisted knee replacement surgery means you can experience faster recovery times and improved outcomes. Why wait? Don't let knee pain hold you back any longer. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com/northwest for further information today.
Hey, babe, not feeling great tonight. Do you mind if we cancel?
Connor, the match is starting!
Shh, stop!
You can't rely on everything, but you can rely on Vodafone Gigabit Fibre Broadband with smart Wi-Fi. Now only €30 a month for the first 6 months. Search Vodafone Broadband today.
12-month contract, €30 for 6 months, €40 thereafter. Is subject to annual price adjustment, excluding discounts of CPI plus 3% each April. Offer ends August 31st, 2024. Subject to eligibility and location. See vodafone.ie/broadband.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Make your sterling go further with our new cash sales exchange rate at €1.20 for every £1 spent in store. No matter the weather, visit us in Ballybuffet for all your fashion, beauty, gifting and homeware needs this summer.
So it is clouding over a little bit, it has to be said, here at the mountain top in Letterkenny. But today, mostly dry across the region with sunny spells. There will be some well-scattered showers. Now, if you happen to come across those showers, there might be the odd one or two that are heavy. Right, Breege, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
How are you keeping, Breege?
I'm getting there now.
Good
Doing
woman.
well,
Good woman. Okay.
improving fairly well, yeah.
But you... Yeah, go on. You pick up the story that I was going to say. You weren't feeling too well at all recently, Breege.
No. I recently had an unexpected admission to Letterkenny General Hospital on the 13th of June, and I had emergency bowel surgery on the 15th.
Now,
my son Sean.
I was going to say this is off the back of what should be a joyous time, wasn't it? Because Sean. Yeah. So pick it up from there.
My son Sean and his wife, and the two children. The two children had never been in Ireland, and he hadn't been home for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
So they were coming. They were coming on the 13th of June. We had a lot of plans made for him. We had a marquee organised for the following weekend, and we had to do his homecoming, my 70th, and we were going to do raise money for Bumblins in the process. But on the morning of the 13th, I felt unwell. That's the day he was coming. I had cramps in my stomach, but I just thought it's just stress and excitement. Continued on with the day, and with every little bit of shopping we had to do, my husband and I done it. They arrived around 6:30 in the evening. Now, Greg, I wasn't feeling well, but how could I tell them I wasn't feeling well?
Yeah.
So I got the dinner for them anyway, and eventually the two children went straight to bed, and the two ladies had showers and they went to bed as well. My son was so excited, he didn't realise, but I went to bed. But the pain persisted. So I said to my husband when they were all in bed, I rang Now Doc, and they said, come on ahead. Now, I arrived in Now Doc after 10 o'clock. I was seen immediately. The doctor was very nice. He said, I can't give you anything. You have to go on to A&E. I was pleading really with them to let me go home. But anyway, I was admitted to A&E around 11 o'clock. I was seen by the triage nurse about 1. I was admitted inside at 4, which was quite all right because everybody was there. Everybody was sick, the same as I was. The staff were actually so busy, but so pleasant and so nice. Patients were everywhere. I don't know how, Greg, they do their work in such circumstances, but everyone was so pleasant and so nice. A nurse saw me that morning and she got pain relief. I was seen by the doctor. The jigs and the reels, the whole day went on anyway, between x-ray, CT scan, when they got to bed to examine me, etc. So I was admitted to surgical 2 that afternoon, or that evening actually. I had emergency surgery on the Saturday for a blockage in the bowel. And I was in ICU for 2 nights. I was in HDU for 2 nights. I was 5 nights in surgical 2. Wow. Now, the care that I got in Letterkenny General Hospital from admission to discharge was amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was blown away. And I was not a private patient. I want to express that. All staff were so pleasant, kind, respectful, professional, and treated every patient with empathy and dignity. I could not have got any better care in any hospital in the whole world, and I mean that, Greg. Medical staff were fantastic, nursing staff, carers, domestic, kitchen, physio, phlebitis, etc., etc. And I wish to express my thanks to all that staff. They are working under such difficult situations, under-resourced, understaffed, and then they have a lot of patients that are confused and they're trying to do their work as well. I will never be able to repay them, but keep up the good work and be so proud, for you are doing an amazing job. I will pray for you all. I also, Greg, want to thank my family at this time for all their help, all my neighbours, good friends that got masses, said masses, etc. Thanks so much. That's it.
Well done, Bridge. Come here. It sounds to me
Well-
like you're recovering physically well, which is good as well. But I think this
Yeah.
gave you a wee bit of a gunk, as they used to say, too emotionally,
it did.
Bridge. A tough experience for you.
It did.
Yeah.
It actually wakes you up. It makes you really think. You know, you're sailing along in life and you think everything's going. I had everything planned to a T. But I saw my son. I actually saw him for about 2.5 days. But do you know, we had 2.5 good days.
Yeah.
And this is what it was. It was
But come
meant
here,
to be,
Breach. Can you
whatever.
imagine now, though, if you'd went through this and he was on the other side of the earth, what he would have been going
yeah.
through too? So at least, you know, things are much
He was
easier
there.
to deal with when you're close by. It would have been terrible for him
Yeah.
getting the texts and the calls and saying, Mom's going into
Yeah.
surgery now and Mom's in ICU. Because if you heard that and you're on the other side of the world, you'd be
Yeah.
so fearful. I'm sure he was fearful for you. But I think...
Yeah, he was.
do you think the excitement got to you a little bit, or it's just a coincidence?
Maybe, I don't know. It didn't cause it. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this was coming anyway. Like, but the timing couldn't have been worse. But do you know what? Maybe that's the way it was all meant to be. I mean, if now Doc would have sent me home, you know, everything
God
went
forbid.
right from the very beginning.
I know,
And, they didn't leave no stone unturned. I must say,
Yeah.
I know people have negative experiences, but I had a very positive experience at Letterkenny Hospital.
I'm just
And if
thinking.
it wasn't
I'm
there,
just thinking of you sitting in the HDU and the marquee flapping in the wind at home.
I know we will carry on. We will have that sometime, you know.
Listen.
But I do intend to do the for Bumblands. I do intend to do that. as
Well, will you
know,
let us
so.
know when you're doing that so I can give it a good plug for
I
you,
will.
Bridge? Okay. Listen,
Okay,
look
lovely.
after
Thanks
look
a lot,
after
Greg.
yourself. A lot to process
Okay.
physically and emotionally. So make sure to look
Yeah.
after yourself. I'm sure you will be
And
well looked
thanks
after
for letting
too.
me come on.
All pleasure,
Thank you for
Bridge.
letting, and I want the staff to keep up their work. My God, and thank you so much.
No, that was
Okay.
very heartfelt words. I heard it. Okay, Bridge, thank you very much indeed. And we're more than happy, by the way, to talk of positive experiences as well. Back after the news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Are you ready for Cairn Community Games? Come and make some noise. Throw shapes, run, paint, cycle, sing. Take to the stage and make friends. It doesn't matter where you're from or what you're into. There's a place for you at Cairn Community Games. Because together, we're all in. Play your part at cairncommunitygames.ie.
With more routes nationwide, your TFI Local Link bus service provides connection to the wider Transport for Ireland public transport network. Save up to 30% when you use your TFI Leap card on TFI Local Link services. For route and timetable information, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Bingo every Monday at the Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open at 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30. €2,500 must go. Snowball is now €1,950 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
New store Call of the Wild is now open on Main Street, Letterkenny, with top quality outdoor clothing, footwear and equipment. Also the best advice and great service. Top names include Bearcouse, Yeti, Gore-Tex and Orca. Also Rip Curl, Camping Gaz, Hoka and many more. Get the best gear, whatever your lifestyle, at Call of the Wild in Letterkenny. See callofthewild.ie.
All Together Now Festival returns. August Bank Holiday Weekend, 1st to 4th. Curramore Estate, County Waterford. With The Prodigy, The National, Natasha Bedingfield, plus many more. Tickets from €249 are on sale now. Maybe subject to fees. Over 21, subject to licence. See alltogethernow.ie.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, I'm Michaela Clark with the news at 10 o'clock. The new British Prime Minister is in Northern Ireland. Keir Starmer's been meeting with the First and Deputy First Ministers at Stormont Castle. He's been given an update on how the recently restored power sharing executive is working and discussed the parliamentary schedules at both Westminster and Stormont.
And then you're back sort of mid-August, is it?
1st of September.
Oh, 1st September.
I think,
Okay,
yeah,
right.
1st. Yeah.
Do you think you will have to recall, or is it just as
Well,
and when?
we have to work that out. We didn't.
Well, the Labour Party's manifesto pledged to repeal the controversial Troubles Legacy Act. This is something Labour councillor Troy Gallaher, who's a native of Letterkenny, says will be key to improving relations with Ireland.
As Keir said over the weekend, all the political parties in Northern Ireland opposed the Legacy Bill. The people opposed the Legacy Bill. The Irish government obviously had to take the UK government to court. Keir had made it very clear he wished to repeal that, and that's going to be enacted. And now also that will help itself not just find a way forward. The actual repeal of the Legacy Bill is key towards improving relations in Northern Ireland and also with the Irish government.
We'll know the identity of the new Green Party leader by lunchtime. Roderick O'Gorman and Pippa Hackett have been battling it out to replace Eamon Ryan and lead the Greens into the next election. Political correspondent Sean Defoe says it's a tough task for whoever wins.
Many Greens are viewing this job as one of damage limitation. Who is the candidate who can stop the bleeding and help as many of us as possible keep our seats? So in many ways, the two candidates can say whatever they like. Big picture, this is just about surviving the next few months. Pippa Hackett in particular has gone after that message, selling the idea that a rural-based woman could appeal to a new audience for the party, while O'Gorman says the Greens need to broaden their appeal beyond just those traditional green climate issues. We'll find out around 11:15 who's won.
Donegal County Council's Defective Concrete Block Grant Committee is meeting today for the first time in the current council term. 4 100% redress party councillors were elected in June's local election, with one of them expected to be named as chair of the committee. They will take over from Councillor Martin McDermott, who has been committee chair since its inception. The meeting is due to get underway shortly at County House, Lifford. The crisis within the care system is leaving vulnerable children at risk. A report by the Child Law Project, which collects data from courts, shows there are no special care beds available for children who need them. Of particular concern are children being sexually or criminally exploited, with their placement often unable to stabilise them and address these risks. Dr Maria Corbett, CEO of the Child Law Project, says in some cases foster or residential care isn't enough.
Special care is part of the care system. It is for children where their behavioural difficulties have reached a level where they may be at risk to themselves. The placement in special care, a child is not themselves allowed to leave the placement. It is effectively a secure placement.
Donegal County Council is seeking expressions of interest for the provision of emergency accommodation. The council is also interested in hearing from property owners who may be interested in selling for social housing purposes. Eamon Torsney has more.
The council is appealing to proprietors of apartments, houses, hostels and guest house accommodation who wish to have their facilities or rooms included on the council's list of retained emergency accommodation for families and individuals requiring emergency and short to medium term accommodation to come forward. Family and single rooms may be required to meet emergency accommodation needs as they arise. Meanwhile, the council is also inviting expressions of interest from the owners of property which may be suitable for social housing purposes and they are interested in selling. Properties can be in towns and villages and can include existing houses or apartments, commercial units, derelict buildings and sites and parcels of land, greenfield and brownfield sites. Ideally, the council says properties should be close to sustainable communities and within walking distance of amenities and services, and any land being offered should be suitably zoned. More information is available on donegal.co.ie.
Part of the Milford to Ramelton Road will be closed over the coming days to facilitate sewage main installation works. The route between Maher Drummond Road and Moss Road will be closed from today until Friday between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. each day. Diversions will be in place for the duration of works. Weather now mostly dry today with sunny spells. However, well scattered showers will break out as the day progresses, some heavy. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all from Highland Radio News for now. We'll be back with an update again at 11 o'clock. Until then, you can keep up to date with the latest local news on our website highlandradio.com. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, July the 8th. The death has taken place of Margaret Doherty, née Sharkey, Mina Bull Dunlewy. Removal from the Eternal Light Chapel of Rest at Mountain Top, Letterkenny at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Her remains will repose at Rorty's Funeral Home Derrybeg this evening from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock and tomorrow from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Rosary nightly at 8 o'clock. Funeral Mass on Wednesday morning at 11 o'clock in the Church of the Sacred Heart Dunlew, interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Shane Neary, Gordon Corrib Letterkenny, reposing at his home, house strictly private. Requiem Mass tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny. Burial afterwards in Cornwall Cemetery. Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, donations if desired to the Oncology Day Ward, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Sheila McLaughlin, née Crawford, 12 Letterkenny Road, Lifford, reposing at her home. Fiona leaving her home tomorrow morning at 10:20 for Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Murlock, Lifford at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Pat Craig, 6 Dr McCluskey Crescent and formerly of Stranaglock, Glenties. Pat's remains are reposing at the family home at Stranaglock, Glenties today from 11 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Rosary tonight at 9 o'clock. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock in St Connell's Church, Glenties, with interment afterwards in the local cemetery. Family time before the funeral tomorrow. Funeral Mass can be viewed live on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of James McGuinness, Funeral Directors or any family member. The death has occurred of PJ Maguire, Meanloher, Castlefin, reposing at the family home. Funeral from the family home tomorrow morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Crossroads, Killygordon. Interment afterwards in the adjoining churchyard. The Mass can be viewed via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Patricia Pat Harkin, Corderry, Glendowen, Churchill. Patricia's remains are reposing at her daughter Frances's residence in Corderry, Glendowen. Funeral from there this morning for Requiem Mass in St Columkille's Church, Glendowen at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in Temple Douglas Cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Charlie McClafferty, Funeral Director. The death has occurred of Margaret Kelly, Gortnaskey, Burnfoot. Her remains are reposing at her home. Removal this morning at 10:15 to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock. Interment immediately afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Margaret's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, donations in lieu if desired to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Sean Murphy, Funeral Director. The death has taken place of Sean Hegarty, Woodtown, Ramelton, reposing at his home. Funeral Mass this morning at 11 o'clock in St Eunan's Cathedral, Letterkenny. Burial afterwards in Bank Cemetery, Ramelton. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family time, please, before the funeral this morning. The death has taken place of Patrick Call, Luton, England, and formerly of Clagan, Portsalon. Patrick's remains are reposing at his brother Gerard Call's home in Clagan, Portsalon. Family time before the funeral this morning. Requiem Mass will be held in St Columba's Church, Massmount, this morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. And the death has taken place of Mary Margaret Grant, Westbrook House, Buncrana. Remains reposing at her residence. Removal from there this morning at 10:30, going to St Mary's Church, Cockhill, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed online at churchservices.tv. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Go from shopping in Aldi's frozen food aisle to chilling at Electric Picnic. Because Aldi is giving away electric picnic tickets and €2,000 in gift cards every single week. Spend over €25 in-store and upload your receipt on aldifest.ie to enter. Then you could go from your local store to the electric picnic dance floor. Republic of Ireland and 18 plus only. Ends August 4th. Excludes alcohol, prices and full T's and C's at aldifest.ie.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Just a wee update from a message we read out just before 9. Someone had sent it through last week and just sent in a clarification, which we're more than happy to do. I was wrong last week when I said that the FAI was charging €250 to €135 per ticket for upcoming matches. Those prices were a pack of 3 matches. Sorry for misleading you. I think that's a good idea or a good deal. Okay, that's very good. Listen, and fair play to you for clarifying that. But there are other sporting events that people are very much priced out of. A caller says, I was at the Rosnalla 12th of July celebrations and I'm disappointed that you didn't mention how good and peaceful the celebrations were. The minority of this county are constantly overlooked, so I just want to say we had a fabulous day with marching bands and a real good family fun day. Well, to be honest with you, the 12th of July celebrations in Rosnalla always pass off without incident, and they're always a good family day. I would have thought it would have been a bit strange if I had said, "Oh, great, the Rosnalla passed off peacefully." I mean, is there any expectations that it would be otherwise? I don't understand that text, to be honest with you. I don't have any recollection of anything other than Rosnalla celebrations being peaceful and a good family day out. That's always been the case, and that's 44 years of memories of that, effectively. So there you go. Well, they did pass off peacefully, of course. Hi, Greg. So sad about that RTE programme, what women have to put up with. I'm going to have to watch that. Just yesterday was so busy and I was too tired. I think it didn't start till 9:30. I understand why some of those shows are on later, but a lot of the current affairs stuff, which I don't really watch much of anyway, but 9:30, 10, 10:30 sometimes. Maybe if the council would make decisions and implement changes on the dire infrastructure and its vast collection of defective concrete houses, instead of making stupid decisions like no bikes on the Diamond. 10 to 10 hospital interview, so no one can ask them questions as usual. Right, I kind of know where you're coming from. Sometimes people are made available close to the top of the hour, and there are no... This was a lady that had an experience in the hospital, a regular listener, Breach. So that doesn't apply in this case, but thank you. Greg saw a video of Dublin. It looks like a different country, a different part of the world. If you'd add Dublin's always been multicultural, but it certainly is now. There's no doubt about that. It's been like that for quite some time too. It's not something that happened 3 years ago. My biggest fear are e-scooters constantly on our footpaths here in Buncrana. They're not abiding to any rule. And another thing, they should be banned from parks, just my view. Thank you kindly. Well, scooters should not be on the footpath. That is the bottom line. They have to be on the road. They have to be ridden the same place and in the same manner that you would ride a bicycle. So maybe there's some enforcement required. When are you going to discuss the excess deaths since 2021? None in 2020. There's no excess deaths in 2021. I'll go through the stats if you want. Now there was a cyber attack in 2020 which pushed a lot of the data, not just deaths but births and marriages too, into 2021. But the data is, I mean, there's one fella that's gone and checked out RIP.ie, but the official data suggests there was no excess deaths in those years. I'm not going to argue with you about it, but I'll run through the official figures for you a little later on in the programme, if you like, because I did take a note of them because I anticipated that type of message. Maybe Donegal County Council should contemplate that the bikers socialising peacefully in the Diamond is a tourist attraction, and that adds to the vibrancy and attractiveness of Donegal town to visitors. That's how I feel about it. You know, I love that buzz of a busy town centre, but as I say, I just have to make sure, don't I, that there are those that maybe we've got no, anyway, listen, I was going to say maybe there are those that don't like the bikes. We've had no messages, no texts yet at all in that regard. As I say, we just need to, what kind of a town centres do we want? A caller says his son put a deposit on a car through a garage pending a car loan. The loan did not come through. Where does he stand in terms of getting his deposit back? I would have thought that any garage that's very keen on their reputation would just say, sorry, fella. Hopefully we can do business into the future. There's your deposit. I would have thought the deposit was to hold the car. Just let us know as the garage says that they won't refund that deposit, because we can chase that up and ask what the policy is there. I've not heard tell of that before, but anyway. Good morning, Greg. So the rainy day account was really the buying the public vote account, it seems. When are we going to talk about housing immigrants, and is it worth it? Read that one out already. Terrific weekend of hurling yesterday was a colourful spectacle in a packed Croke Park of pace, outrageous skill, intensity and physicality between two free-scoring teams without a shred of controversy over 80 minutes. Huge turnout of Rebel fans, with that wall of red willing the ball over the bar. Most neutrals will be hoping the Banner win their 5th title, as Cork have 30 secured already. What a wonderfully written text. Thank you very much for that. And, when you see the vibrancy and the pace and the skill of the game, and then when you see I think the great product we have, the great footballing product as well, and especially when you watch the Euros, I watch some of the Euros here and there, and it's bland. It's bland. We talk an awful lot about sort of the defensive football here, for an example, or, the lateral passing, and we get frustrated and say, right, come on, lads, come on, girls, push forward, or whatever it might be. The British commentators call that patient football. That's what they call it, patient football, whereas we're raging for something a bit more attacking at times. Hi, Greg. In relation to the speed of the election count in the UK, take a look at the resources they use and the overall cost. In relation to elections here, own the mainstream will have greater influence on it than you can own the election. I'm not referring to your good selves in Highland. You do a superb job. The South Dublin bubble dictates on national media. They all move in the same circle, be that print or radio or visual, and bounce off one another in their echo chamber or their echo chamber. Hell, they even have the same agents, managers, not in the real world, and certainly not in rural counties. Look, I agree with you, and I've called this out for the longest time. There is a Dublin bubble, and a lot of the journalists, no disrespect to them, a lot of the media, a lot of the celebs in inverted commas, they all move in the same circles. I do get where you're coming from. And of course, too, we have to consider that it's a different vote in Britain, isn't it? First past the post. That being said, we still struggled. I know we still did transfers and what have you for the EU's, the European elections, so that doesn't count. But it's quicker because you just count in ballots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for him, 1, 2, 3, 4 for her, and that's it, all done and dusted. Okie doke, stay with us. We've loads coming up on the show, coming up after these messages, in fact.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday, 8th of July. Playing on a green sheet. Reference number is S16. It's week 28. Today's numbers are 41, 42, 81, 22, 61, 13, 63, 86, 39 and 87. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Why leave the magic moments and great scenes you've captured sitting on your phone when you can have them printed at McGee's Chemist? Using McGee's website or one of their in-store kiosks, you just upload your photos, select the ones you want and have them printed instantly within an hour, or use the 24-hour service. 35mm and film from disposable cameras also printed, and old photos can be digitally restored. Hold your memories in your hand with McGee's Chemist, Letterkenny.
If you're painting outside your home or business, Watson Hire have a brilliant deal on Storm Shield exterior paint. Get 3 10-litre buckets of white for just $99.95, or 3 buckets of coloured for just $129.95. Johnson Storm Shield is rainproof in 20 minutes, ideal for the Donegal weather, and Watson's can mix thousands of colours. Call in and talk to the paint specialist for advice and see loads more paint deals at Watson Hire, Lisnenan, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Okay, doke. You're very welcome back to the programme. We're joined on it now by Paul. Hiya, Paul. Good morning to you.
Greg, how are you getting on, Greg?
I'm doing okay. And how's the young fella getting on?
Oh no, they're grand. They're later on now, so they're Greg. Thank God they're all right. Like,
It's a big shock
so
though when you hear about it, though, isn't it? You think the worst.
As long as you go there and they're all right, like that's the main one. You know what I mean? Like,
that's
so
it. All right. So this is about your son who was involved in a road traffic collision at the weekend, and tell us your experience and what you noticed, Paul.
Well, Greg, my son rang me and I landed at the scene, and well, the other third party rung the guards and took a wee bit long to come, whatever. So what I done then, I rung the guards myself, and was like, "Can I rung?" But I think they said were 4 guards come out, whatever. And so I hung about on it. The guards landed, so I walked towards the guards, and I said to them, "That's first thing my insurance didn't ask me. Yes, and Monday morning, you have to breathalyze both parties." And he says, "Oh," I says, "that's not going whatever. We don't have to do that." So I said, "That's all right. We'll let that go." So that was all right. The guards went to talk to the other party, and to talk to them. So me and my son was standing up the car, and the guard come towards us, and he says, "We have to do a drug test." I says, "Right." I said, "Do you do a drug test in the other party?" And he says, "And can I get aggressive from the guard?" And he says, "No, I'm not." So I says, "Why?" He says, "I don't have to." He says, "That's why I do it in one and not do it in another." So that was all right.
And just an interesting thing, just one thing too as well, Paul, that you said in relation to that. You weren't asking the guard to check the other driver because you were under the suspicion that they were under the influence. It was about fairness here and equality too. You were saying, well, why would you do one and not the other? It's not that you suspected the other driver.
But I wasn't saying, Greg, there was no issue. I would say the other driver, there was no issue with him. I actually have doing it other. I would say, but that was all right. So I asked the guard, what happens if he doesn't do it now? He says, because here, well, he says, we're going to arrest him. Well, I said, so you're going to arrest him, but not do the other one. And my son, he was even quite annoyed yesterday himself at he got done, drug tested, and the other driver didn't get to.
And what about alcohol breath tests? There was none for either.
No alcohol mentioned. I said to the guard, when you do them now for the drug test, you may as well do it for the alcohol test. Never mentioned alcohol. So that was all right, Greg. I was down talking to the other driver, and the other driver had no issue at all. He told me, he said, "I have no issue." He said, I'll do the drug test, whatever I have to do. And I was up to the guard, and the guard just ignored me. And I watched the other driver leaving, watched the guards leaving. There was no alcohol, there was no drug test done on the other driver. And I think it's totally a disgrace on the guard side.
Do you think that it was an age profile thing, that because your son's in the 20s and the other drivers...
Exactly, Greg.
Okay.
And sometimes, don't get me wrong, I'm not discriminating old people, but sometimes the older boys is nearly worse than me.
He was only in his 50s now, settle yourself.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But he had no defect, but the man had no issue of doing it at all, you know what I mean? It was the issue with the guards that they weren't doing it. They just had a offence against the young fella, and that's just what it was. Which in a way then sort of, I mean, I'm sure your son can work it out and maybe not judge all by the one, but it would kind of then maybe thinking that the guards have it in for him and maybe lose a bit of respect for the guards. You know what I mean? I'm not putting words or thoughts in his mind. Exactly. And the young fella, he's still traumatised with yesterday himself. If he got, I said to the guard, I have no issue getting him. He has no issue himself getting it done. But it's just the whole fact of doing one and not doing the other. Because the two parties is involved in this here. You know what I mean? I think it's a disgrace on the guard side, and another thing, Greg. Yeah. The other thing, Greg, and when the other guard come over then, and I says, look, I said to the other guard, and I says, why not do the other man? No, why not test him? And the other guard, he says, how do you know I'm not going to test him? And I says, the other guards after saying he's not doing them. He got aggressive and he said he wasn't doing them. And he says, well, that's on him. What kind of attitude is that, I thought there was mandatory
drink testing, but I know they're planning to introduce mandatory drug testing as again.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe at this point the Guard has discretion. I don't know. I don't know what the story is in relation to it. But either if you're going to do it for one, you do it for both, don't you?
You're right, Greg. That is right. So that's the way I wanted to come on this morning there, just to say I'm annoyed myself at it, like, you know, because if it had been myself, I would have gone to the brakes, and I wouldn't have done it to the other man to make sure he's done the other way.
Well, this is the situation as it stands. Mandatory drug testing for drivers involved in a serious collision is to come into effect ahead of the June bank holiday. From midnight Friday 31st, Garda will be required to test drivers involved in serious road traffic collisions for the presence of drugs in their system. It's already the case that Garda have to carry out mandatory alcohol testing for motorists involved in serious collisions. Right. That's it. What is it? Is it the Guard then that makes? Is it the Guard then that makes a decision as to whether it's serious or not?
That's well. If I thought it wasn't serious, don't do one, not do the other. You know, I think it's just unfair.
Yeah.
I had no dispute. I had no issue of Leon getting it done, or my son getting it done, and whoever else. You know, and as I say, the other driver had no issue of getting it done. So it was an issue with the Guard wasn't doing it with the other. He just had a thing for the young fella.
Yeah, and could you see that this wasn't a serious collision yourself?
Wasn't serious. There was nobody hurt, Greg.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay.
You
so
know
maybe
there was
it
nobody
comes
hurt,
down
like
to injury. Okay, but that just seems a little bit strange. That I don't know how. There must be some determining factor for serious injuries. Maybe if people are removed to hospital, what have you. But your son's gripe is that he's just been age profiled there, and the only person in that collision that could possibly be under the influence of drug was the 20-year-old, and not the guy or the girl in her 50s.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll have a look and see if we can get a response from the Garda in relation to that. I mean, obviously there's quite a bit of Garda discretion, but still, it doesn't seem fair. I think most people listening might feel.
Not even that, Greg. When he said the word that he wasn't, he got aggressive with me.
Right. Okay.
And I left it there. You know, he had an attitude.
Okay.
He definitely had an attitude.
All right. Okay. All right, Paul. Listen, you've
been
heard. Thanks very much indeed for that. Any views on that? WhatsApp or text to 086 60 25,000. Some more texts coming in, of course. Hi, Greg. A problem regarding the Donegal game next Sunday. New Lek Blessing of the Graves takes place next Sunday at 4 p.m, same time as the semi-final. Is there any possibility it could be put back to 2:30 p.m. so people could get back in time to watch the game? I suppose that's at the discretion of the church, isn't it? The problem is there's blessings of the graves every weekend, I suppose, for the next while. I don't know who would be in charge of that. Normally they do move things around, but you could have people then travelling a distance or a plan to be there for 4 and 2:30 might not suit them. I don't know. Another here, just to mention, it's a joke, no parking, since footpaths are made wider and no fault to people with camper vans. They're taking up spaces at the pier and no facilities for them. This is in Donegal town. They're putting the poor bikers off the Diamond and them causing no harm. If anything, they're good for business and spend money in the restaurants and coffee shops. They are respectable people and tourists love them. Looking at their bikes, and some of them stay in the hotels and B&Bs, contributing to the town. Again, another message adding to the pile in support of bikers, particularly, who have been effectively told don't park your bikes on the newly refurbished Diamond in Donegal town, that it's an inclusive space and so on and so forth. But still, again, the majority of people, in fact, unanimously at this stage, in backing the bikers effectively. A caller says, re-driving. Young boys can drive a tractor at 16 to 17 years of age without doing a test. How can they drive on the road without a valid licence? Well, they can't. You have to have a valid licence. So you can acquire a licence at 16 to drive a tractor. I don't know how you know they don't have a licence. New scam alert. There's a new WhatsApp scam where people are receiving a WhatsApp code followed by a text message from someone in their contact saying the code was sent to them in error and asking them to pass it on. Following this, everyone in their contact lists get the same message. Please do not send on any codes or respond to these messages if received. It is a scam. One caller had to disable their WhatsApp after mistakenly sending it on. Yeah, I see a lot of that too. I think I did see that one. Greg, my wife has put clothes in a charity shop, high-end clothes, only on her back once to find them at a car boot sale. So tell them people to be careful, because there's people out there that will take advantage of their kindness. Okay, this is in relation to, I see where you're coming from. This is in relation to perhaps the passing on of school uniforms that happened at the weekend. I suppose, I mean, if someone then goes and buys it in a charity shop, or is it free, and then they end up in a car boot sale, I can see where the problem is. I can see why people might not be happy about that. But if the charity shop gets the money through the sale, does that not work? Good morning, Greg, and the 9 till noon show team. A quick wee question. Have any Donegal businesses received either the first or the second increased cost of business grant yet? Any local ones in Inishowen I've spoken to have not yet, but I hear of businesses from other counties that have. Well, let's throw this out. Are you a business person in Donegal or Inishowen? Have you received either the first or second increase cost of business grant yet? This listener hasn't, and they say there are other businesses in and around Inishowen that haven't received it either. I know that's not going to apply to many of you out there, but someone might be able to respond. Let us know, the numbers.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Charge into summer with TUI. Secure your holiday today with savings for families and adults flying from Dublin, Cork and Shannon. Holiday sorted. TUI. Live happy.
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 71 87 8077 for more details.
I've just had the Eclipse Cinemas experience. Wow, they truly have taken a night at the movies to a whole new level. Amazing recliner chairs, director's lounge VIP rooms, pizza and hot food served to your seat. Have a glass of wine and enjoy the film on the big screen. Try it for yourself at Eclipse Cinemas Bundoran and Lifford Strabane, where the stars shine brighter. By the way, the pizzas are amazing. You can book your seat anytime at eclipsecinemas.ie.
Getting married? Evolve Clothing at Letterkenny Retail Park is your destination. Book today for expert advice, a private wedding room and great value. Make your wedding day unforgettable with Evolve Clothing.
Attention, Century Play is now open. We're open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. 7 days a week for endless fun with exciting new features. Visit us today for unforgettable memories in the largest playframe in the Northwest. We're also now taking kids' party bookings. Call us on 074 9121976 for more information.
Join John Breslin and the Around the Northwest team this Thursday at B&S Credit Union Ballbuffet for their members' big draw. A brand new Toyota Yaris Hybrid Luna and an additional €12,000 in cash prizes will be given away. It promises to be a fun-filled event with refreshments and spot prizes to give away. All members welcome.
Just in relation to the Donegal businesses receiving either the first or the second increased cost of business grants, this original contact came in late last week, and we'd put a contact into the council actually to follow it up, which I wasn't aware of. And the council have given us actual figures, and they say they've paid out a total of €3.6 million, a little more than that, €3.6 million under the increased cost of business grants to 2,084 related premises in the county. So that's actually really quite prolific, isn't it? 3.6 million to over 2,000 rented premises in the county. So certainly that money is being sent, but obviously that other listener hasn't received it yet. Okay, my next guest is in studio with me, Alton Pringle, actor and writer. Good morning to you, Alton.
Good morning, Greg. Thank you for having me.
How are things going for you?
Good, they're going very well. I'm sitting here thinking, does the radio ever get any less nerve-wracking? No.
Does it?
Does it? I don't
no,
know. You
not for me.
It
no,
doesn't.
if I take a week off, it's like coming back and doing it for the first time, and my anxiety pings. But you get into it in a moment.
Yeah, perfect.
Chill.
I'm
breathe.
chill. I'm
in
chill
through
out.
the nose, out through the mouth.
Yeah. Just like going on stage.
Yes, exactly. Is it? It's like you see, it's where you're comfortable, isn't it? Because I don't mind doing this, to be honest with you. And anyone could walk in here. And I could meet anyone out and about, people that others might go, ooh, I'm a bit nervous about that.
Yeah.
But if you ask me to speak in public or to compare something, I do it, but it's not my comfort zone. I'm not happy. And people would be very surprised with that. But we're complex characters, us humans, aren't we?
Yeah, and aren't more people afraid of public speaking than are apparently afraid of death? There was a statistic about that.
Yes.
What I think is so easy about stage is you just get your first laugh and then suddenly you're not nervous anymore.
Really, it's that simple.
Although one night last week I didn't get my first laugh and then I panicked. But,
but I suppose when you do a show a couple of times, you kind of know where things are going to land and hit. But I suppose audiences are so diverse, aren't they? All over the county, different backgrounds and different sensibilities and what have you. Boyfriends is in on Greenon Theatre Letterkenny this Thursday, the 11th of July, and runs until Saturday, the 13th of July at 8 p.m, presumably inclusive. So it's on Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, okay, brilliant. Right, what's the story about?
Story is about two anonymous fellas. We never find out their names, and it follows their 4-month situationship. Do you know what a situationship is?
Yes, I do. How old do you think I am?
Okay, there you go. That's good. Most people say they don't know what a situationship is.
Oh, I do. Yes, yeah.
But basically, it's a situationship is sort of it's that stage of a relationship where you haven't spoken about it and you're not committing yet.
Are we boyfriend and girlfriend?
Yeah,
are
or
we,
what
are
we?
Exclusive?
Yeah. And kind of the conversation never happens for
Am
these
I
two
obsessed
men.
with you and you don't like me?
Yeah, but that never goes away. But then so the show follows their 4 months of their situationship where they kind of are trying to reckon with and have this conversation that really, I don't think it's a spoiler to say they never actually have the conversation about what they are. But we just follow their 4 months anyway and their kind of romance, and there's Madonna songs, there's calorie counting, there's kissing, and lots of jokes.
And what's the story about, though, when you dig into it? Is it about our insecurities? Is it about modern day relationships?
Yeah, I think it's really questioning. I think the play is full of questions and no answers, and I don't know if that's I haven't worked out after 2 weeks doing it in Dublin if that's a cop-out or not, but that basically it follows their 4 months. It's about their relationship, how their bodies are relating to each other. They're two very different men. One of them is very sculpted or chiseled, as the one of the review said, and I'm the less than chiseled one of the two.
To ask.
That's what the review said. I couldn't argue with them, but so it follows how they relate to their bodies, how they relate to the world they're living in, their careers, where they're at now, and kind of it really questions and I think is thinking about how do we have romance in a world where romance is being sucked out of it, it seems, and kind of it seems the only way to have romance now is to be on an app, which are run by tech barons who want to keep you on that app. They don't actually want you to leave it. And what does that do to romance and intimacy, and how do we kind of cultivate that now?
And is there significance to the different body shapes of the two?
I think so. I think the whole play, you could take the words out of it, and I think it's about how they relate to each other. I mean, the very, very start, the other wonderful actor, Manuel Okoye, says to my character, "You're not my type. If I just looked at you, I never would have spoken to you." And I think that maybe colours the entire interaction they have over the 90 minutes of like how their bodies are in conversation and kind of what we think about bodies now in this kind of bizarre Ozempic culture where like everything's about losing weight, and like it's about that. I mean, it's been about that for 30-40 years, but
yeah, because this I mean, obviously, we have sort of societal attitude to what is a good body or what's not a bad body, right? But it doesn't really matter, or does it matter? Because then you could have an individual who to 100 people looks fantastic, the perfect body, but they look at themselves and see their flaws and they're not happy. You might have someone who doesn't fit the social norms and is very genuinely very comfortable in themselves. So sort of, obviously I think it's agitated by the way things are with social media and Love Island and all that kind of stuff. But I think we've always perhaps struggled with the love of ourselves.
But we are taught that from an early age. I mean, I think back growing up in the 2000s, it was all people talked about was weight. I remember being 7 years old when I asked could I go on my first diet, because you were 7 but you were so cognizant of it. But with this play, I was maybe more interested in how the other fella, who is very beautiful and very chiseled, how his insecurities about his own body is.
And who's the cast? Who picked the cast?
The director, Joy Nesbitt.
Oh, right, okay. So you can't take
no, it wasn't me. Don't worry. No, it really wasn't me.
Sorry, go ahead.
But yeah, so it's myself and Emmanuel Okoye. But he's very obsessed with his body, and we see the kind of arduous difficulty he goes through to have the body he has, and how that's impacting his life in difficult ways, and calorie counting, MyFitnessPal, all these different
Is there any pleasure in it? is there any pleasure in it for him, having the great body?
I don't know, because I think he really feels that he's just a commodity, and he feels that he's been made into just this body that people are interested in and people find beautiful. Whereas my character, I don't think finds himself beautiful, but he never talks about it. He really will not ever admit that he struggles with how he looks. But it's there between these two fellas all the time.
So do you have to find then in that way a way of sort of relating that without actually sort of expressing it? Which I would say is the sign of good writing. Isn't it?
The way
so the audience gets it, but you don't necessarily, or maybe you do say, I don't know.
No, exactly. I thought a lot about how it's physicalized in this play. My character never once talks about. There's one moment towards the end where he maybe mentions an insecurity about his body, but you should be able to get it from the first 5 minutes that this is somebody he's very presentational and he puts himself out in a certain way, but he is thinking about this a lot. And how can you subtextually put that underneath the entire play and see how it bubbles up in strange ways between the two of them?
So the question is, and I suppose is there an answer? What is romance anyway?
Yeah.
There's as many answers as you want, is there?
Yeah, I don't know if I came to an answer in the play.
Yeah.
I think it ain't. Maybe that's a cop-out, but it was something that somebody said to us after the show in Dublin, was that it seems like a state of a generation play, and a play that's really thinking about Gen Z and the snowflake generation and what is romance for us and intimacy. And I think I quite like that the play doesn't come to an answer on it. I think it maybe gestures towards different sort of thoughts on like how could these men actually have made something, but it never actually tells you.
And I wonder if a generation, let's say Gen Z, for an example, if they would prefer if it were a simpler answer. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Romance, love, anything like that. I think it's always been a complication right from the very beginning. It's just now, I think it's even more so.
It's even worse. And I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, Craig. I think Gen Z, everyone talks about it, that they're the first generation that the promise of life isn't going to fulfill for them. We're the first generation that won't be able to achieve what our parents did.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is romance another aspect of that, where you're living in this stratified world, this neoliberal world, where we're all being shoved into our own homes and care about your own money at the end of the week, and there's a lack of community or something, or a communion happening between people.
Is there a lack of commitment as well too, I wonder?
Well,
because I do speak to people, and you see it on socials as well, whereby you still get a proportion of the Gen Z that do want the tradition. And you can have that tradition, by the way, in any combination of genders, right? I'm not on about the sort of the old school tradition of that. But that it's hard to find someone else that you're attracted to, that you find appealing, but also wants to commit to you in the same way that you might want.
Is it
and it'd be tough. Like that would be tough if that's what you want, because you're going from one person to another potentially looking for that. You can't. I mean, that's something you're trying to figure out in the situationship, right? If this person is the same as you, and then is that another 4 months down the toilet?
Yeah, but also I wonder how much of it is also just we're spoiled for choice now as well. Of like,
speak for yourself.
Well, I'm not speaking for myself.
I'm only joking. I'm happy out. I'm happy.
Okay. Well, the idea of like at any moment, if somebody's not right for you, say if you meet somebody and maybe the one thing happens that's annoying, you can go on your phone and start swiping again.
It's just relationships seem very disposable at the moment. Like a washing machine now, you can get one for $250, and you don't have to fix it. You just replace it with another one that you can open the lid and put your washing in halfway
Very
through.
nice. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know where that metaphor is in relationships,
but I get it. It's crystal clear.
And you wrote this yourself, did
Yes,
you? Okay. So how long is that process? Like, do you start with a stories board? Do you sort of have I would like, this is a scenario, and it could be triggered by real life experiences or somebody else's. And you say, right, I want to write a story around this scenario, or I presume it's different each work, but just in relation to
usually
this
one. Usually they are sort of like the character's voice appears. I know this sounds like a really annoying writer thing, where suddenly you see an image or a character's voice appears and you just start following it, and then it kind of develops from that. And with this one, because they're called A and B, and there's no names in the play, it was just line after line, and suddenly it was really clear it was a situation.
Can I ask you what the significance of them having no names for the purpose of the play, if that makes sense?
I just thought names have such a power. And when I'm writing, I love to use a name. I love when a character says another person's name, and I just thought, what if we never figure them out? They never say it. There's one character named in the play, and that's my brother in the play, who has passed away. You figure out in the first 5 minutes. So there's a whole element of grief to the play as well. But No, I just never wanted them to say each other's names. It was such a challenge to write it, and even sometimes in rehearsals you would be like, God, I wish I could just say this man's name.
I know what you're saying,
but
at the end of the day, is that where we're ending up, that even the name becomes irrelevant? Okay, I don't know, but it's like everything, people can take from that what they want.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
leave that up to the audience. You have in your mind what you wanted to get across, but the audience then can sort of
and I
figure
think
out that means.
Also, you can only describe them by their bodies then.
Yes.
So there's no name for them. So you're talking about the one with the curly hair or the one who with the locks or whatever. You know, like it becomes more about what you're looking at rather than them actually being named, I think.
Now, what kind of a show is it? You said there's music there. You know, there's. So how would you describe the audience experience of sitting watching?
I think it's a bit frothy. It's a little bit of a fizzy kind of a show. It is kind of a rom-com. Somebody described it in Dublin as a bittersweet rom-com that'll break your heart. And I think if you have a heart, hopefully it'll be broken this Thursday, Friday or Saturday. But it's fizzy, it's frothy, it's trying a lot of different things. It's really interested in period dramas, in rom-coms, in sitcoms. It's trying a lot of stuff out. It's funny. There's tragedy to the play as well, but it is, I want you to have a fizzy, fun time where you can buy into these two men and maybe root for them and hate them at the same time.
You know what I mean? Even to get a show reviewed is in of itself is a good sign, isn't it? The fact that the reviews are positive is just gravy. Like,
yeah, the fact the reviews are very nice. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a Donegal thing or not. Where I'm like, oh well, they're being too generous there now.
It's 100% Donegal thing.
Good, I'm glad.
I think particularly South Donegal.
Yeah. We just think, oh no, they're just being too nice to me. They're making it up.
They're just saying that.
Yeah, the reviews have been very nice. It's been wonderful. But,
listen, we don't want to feel the ire of any of them, but they can be brutal too.
I've had them.
They're not in the game of massaging our egos, are they?
Yeah.
Right, it's this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Do you want to sort of prescribe an audience for it, or leave it up to the public themselves, or what?
I think we had a huge swath of different people coming to see it in Dublin. We had a lot of younger people and a lot of older people, and everyone seemed to be really responding to it. Some of the jokes landed better for the younger generation, but also somebody told me that a lot of the references in the play are built for a 75-year-old woman. So I don't know if that's a compliment for me or not, but there's a lot there, and there's a lot happening.
Well, good writing will cross generations for the most part.
Hopefully.
All right, Alton, listen, well done. Very exciting. It's great. Is it great to bring something home? I don't know. There's sort of
it's slightly terrifying.
Yeah, I was going to say, because they are your. You might not know the crowd individually, but they are your people, so to speak.
And I suppose you have to kind of prove now that what you've been doing in Dublin for the last 3 years is worth it.
Winging it.
yeah. And hopefully it is worth it. I hope so.
Well, listen, we wish you nothing but continued success. Boyfriends is in an Green Theatre, Letterkenny. It's on Thursday, the 11th. That's this coming Thursday, of course, Friday. And then on Saturday, it's at 8 p.m. The tickets are inexpensive. It's €16, €12. And go along and enjoy it. And it's an interesting story, no doubt. But what did you describe it as? Bubbly, fizzy?
Frothy and fizzy. Yeah, that's my tagline.
Well, you see how situationships no problem. Okay. I'm trying to find out what frothy and fizzy means.
It's a terrible tagline. Great.
But listen, come here, we can do that. We can do that in the front row. All right, and good to see you getting backing from the Arts Council on this as well.
Thank you very much.
All right, Alton, listen, we're all very proud of you. Well done. Continued success. Hopefully it's packed houses on Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And as I say, we look forward to all your future work as well.
Thank you.
All right, that's Alton Pringle there, actor and writer. Back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
There's 25% off all school uniforms at F&F until Sunday, 14th of July with your Tesco Club card or app. The smart kids know now is the best time to get great value on uniforms. F&F makes fashion sense. Offer only valid on kids' school uniforms, school footwear, socks, tights and underwear. Selected F&F kids bags included. Accessories excluded. To qualify, present your club card or app at the time of purchase. Subject to availability. Offer valid until 14th of the 7th, 2024.
McCullough Jewellers in Letterkenny are synonymous with fine jewellery, quality watches and giftware. With stores at Main Street, Letterkenny and the Letterkenny Shopping Centre or online at ormccullough.com. You can choose from their quality product range in a relaxed atmosphere, and their sales staff will be happy to help you make the right choice, whatever the occasion. McCullough Jewellers, making moments magical for generations.
Best staycation ever. 4 best mates, 60 minutes from home, 10 thrilling zip lines, 8 breathtaking views,
4 coffees to catch a breath, 1,000 metres into a wondrous cave.
3 echo.
One incredible day. Plan your best staycation ever at discoverireland.ie and experience the feeling of a holiday all in one day. Brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Support local at McElhenny's. With 53 years experience in fashion, beauty and home, we're here for you. Plus, enjoy M-Card rewards when you shop in-store at McElhenny's Ballybuffet.
So mostly dry today with sunny spells. Focus on that mostly dry. Though there will be well-scattered showers. Temperatures 16 to 18 degrees in light easterly breezes. And just with the easterly breeze, particularly along our west coast, just be cautious if you're out in the water and that easterly breeze is effectively blowing you away from shore. Hi, Greg. I received my small grant on the 1st of this month. I don't know if... I'll read the business name because they've texted it in and it might give them a wee plug. Janine Cuts for Mutt's Dog Grooming, Bridgend. Okay, thanks very much for that. Paul's issue is interesting. This is Paul, whose son was involved in a road traffic collision at the weekend. Thankfully, no one was injured. It wasn't serious. But Paul's son was tested for drugs. The other driver, who he suggests is in his 50s, wasn't. Paul thought, well, this isn't fair. Why are you testing my son in his 20s and not the driver in his 50s? And neither were tested for alcohol. But this caller says, Paul's issue is interesting. We were in a similar situation. My daughter was in a collision not caused by her, but she was the one tested for alcohol and the other driver wasn't. We arrived at the scene and asked for the other driver to be tested, but he wasn't. Right, that's two people with two very similar situations. Okay, interesting. Okay, so we were speaking about the arts on the stage. Let's talk about arts on the screen. Aideen Doherty's of the Donegal Film Office with Donegal County Council. Good morning, Aideen.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing good. Now, the recipients of the 2024 Donegal Film Bursary have been announced. This was funded. This is funded by Creative Ireland. And the award is about supporting stories told by local people. Right, so who are the recipients? And tell us a bit about it.
Okay, so the recipients are Shannon Welby, Bevan Nocton and Conor Richmond. And Shannon and Bevan are both from Donegal and Conor is from Limavady. And they basically have put forward a script that was written by Shannon, which is a local story about a Donegal taxi driver who basically is the eyes and ears of the community. And at Christmas time, where he witnesses the festive period, young people and immigrants are returning temporarily. He basically plays a mischievous role in their lives, looking at Donegal characters and Donegal humour. So that's the script kind of around it. And their intention is to employ as many people locally and to use as many services locally in terms of making this short film.
Brilliant stuff. Okay. Shannon is the screenwriter. Bevan Nocton is the director. Conor Richmond has strong connections to Donegal and the film industry. And it's an interesting bursary in that, it recognises, I suppose, the work people have already done in their chosen field, but also to recognise maybe what they may go on to achieve as well.
It really is, and it's about, I suppose, profiling our young people that are starting out in the county and making sure that they're in a space where they're able to compete nationally and pitch into national festivals and hopefully internationally as well. So it's a great opportunity to see, the decision that they've made to kind of be here in Donegal and to, be retained in Donegal and that they want to be around the industry here locally. And that's a real coup because it's something that, every county in the country is trying to do. And to have people of that calibre living here is just phenomenal for the industry. And, they're the kind of people that as they move on in life will make a massive contribution. And really what we're trying to do is profile them at an early stage of their careers.
Yeah, in September, we, as part of Irish Music Month, will be running our competition to find sort of the Donegal entrant to go on and compete nationally. And it's difficult to pick the winner, and we always have a great winner. But what that doesn't tell is the full story. It's the dozens on dozens, hundreds, in fact, of submissions that are of an incredibly high standard. And it's no joke to say, 15, 20 of them could be the winner. It's very, very hard to whittle it down to one or one group of individuals. So what does the quality of applications for this tell us about the talent pool out there?
Okay, so what we do in terms of making the determination is it's an external panel to the council. I don't get involved at all. I simply, qualify them on the basis that they're from the county, and that's very important to us. Is that there has to be a producer, director, or writer associated with the project who's living in the county, and that's the piece of work I do. And what happens is those scripts are sent without anybody's name on them to the panel, and the panel read them on the basis of the script only. So that's the only information they get initially. Once they have made a determination and they get together and they make a determination of the top 5 as they see it, they then get information on the production component, still no names involved. And it's only when they kind of come around to the kind of making their decision that they finally find out who the people are behind it. And I suppose that's the fairest way to do it, so that there's no influence in relation to who's behind what. And, we got an enormous response again. I mean, in the last 4 years, Greg, we've had over 100 scripts come in to the film office in this space. And as I said, the calibre of people that are presenting their work is incredible. And interestingly, we're getting quite a lot of people from outside the county now interested in this as well, who are also looking to promote local producers and local production companies.
Fantastic.
And I suppose that's where one of the areas currently that we're in a bit of a back foot slightly in Donegal, and we probably don't have enough producers living locally, and we don't have enough production companies. So that's
I suppose the whole
for
plan is to build up, and we've talked about this in the past, is to build up the sort of ecosystem that means that the talent that we do have, but unfortunately aren't based or working here, see the potential and are living and working out of this part of the world.
For sure. And I mean, last Monday we had a networking day with the National Talent Academy in Bundoran. In the advent of Obituary Season 2 coming back, we wanted to get a sense of who's here and who's interested. And 67 people turned up to that last Monday morning in Bundoran, so there, and that's, obviously there were some people who travelled significant distance to be to that, but most of that was in the southwest of the county. So, it is interesting when you host one of these things to suddenly discover that there's everybody that could support the industry is here. And I suppose as we move forward, we need to try and sustain that in a way that is meaningful. And in fact, this week we were looking at it at the FLA, in where Donegal is being featured as a region that is sustaining, film production currently. If we look at it over the last number of years, in 2023 there was 9.3 million spent directly in screen production in the county through film and TV commercials. And that's employing local people as crew and cast and extras.
Okay.
We're using local accommodation services and facilities. And, then you have the likes of the Disappear Here and Rathmullen Film Festivals as well that are promoting the work of young people across the county and showcasing, films of, issue orientated. And then also the National Talent Academy training that continues here in the county. And Polka Productions did a wonderful piece earlier last year, and that's going to be repeated this year, where it's looking at bringing script to screen in short, using smartphones and smartphone technology.
Okay, Aidan,
so there's lots of things going on.
Yeah, the future's bright. All right, keep us in the loop. Thanks very much for that. Lovely to chat to you. Aidan Doherty there of the Donegal Film Office with Donegal County Council.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Looking for that delicious home-cooked taste without the hassle? With lots of amazing new recipes, the Meals to Go range at Dunnes Stores is the perfect solution for busy days. Choose from a wide range of meals, from our Cajun pulled beef and rice bowl to our sweet mango chicken, our rich mac and cheese, and many more. Made with care using quality ingredients, you can now get 2 meals for just €8.50. Discover new Meals to Go in-store and online today. Dunnes Stores, always better value. Terms and conditions apply.
Irwin Expert Electrical, your trusted destination for all things home appliances, electrical and entertainment in the Northwest. With over 50 years of leading the way, we pride ourselves on offering a diverse range of products under one roof. From top brands like LG, Samsung, Cooker, Bosch, Apple and more, take advantage of our free layaway service where you can store your new items until you're ready for them. Perfect for renovations and new build projects. Visit Irwin Expert Electrical today in Letterkenny or Buncrana.
Ensure the safety of your team with SafeTech. We have part-funded courses in first aid, people moving and handling, confined spaces, food hygiene, quad bikes, fire warden, IPAF MUPS, electrofusion, welding and machinery cards for Ireland and UK sites. Also delivering online courses like utilities, water hygiene and construction supervisors. SafeTech can deliver group training at your business premises. To find out more, contact safetech.ie today.
Join us this Wednesday, 10th of July, after the 8 o'clock news for episode 4 of Active Donegal on Highland Radio. We dive into how sport is feeding into communities of the county and how physical activity is being encouraged. In programme 4, we speak with Jerry Clark from Letterkenny Tennis Club and talk to a diverse range of people who are proud to be involved with the club. We head to Moncrana for a chat with Patricia Higgins and Kevin McLaughlin of the Inishowen Development Partnership, and we go to Mahari to join Stephen Bell and Hugh Gerard Boyle at Mahari Coastal Adventures. That's Active Donegal this Wednesday the 10th of July after the 8 p.m. news, produced by Highland Radio and funded by Commission to Man with the television licence fee.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
And we're heading into the last hour of Monday's show. Let's get a news update, and it's over to Michaela Clark.
Thanks, Craig. Good morning. Keir Starmer is making his first visit to Northern Ireland as British Prime Minister today. He's also making trips to Scotland and Wales in an effort to improve relations between devolved administrations and London. This morning he met with the main political parties at Stormont. Well, the Labour Party's manifesto pledged to repeal the controversial Troubles Legacy Act. This is something Labour councillor Troy Gallaher, who is a native of Letterkenny, says will be key to improving relations with Ireland. We'll know the identity of the new Green Party leader by lunchtime. Roderick O'Gorman and Pippa Hackett have been battling it out to replace Eamon Ryan and lead the Greens into the next election. Today's meeting of the Defective Concrete Block Grant Committee is underway at County House in Lifford. It's the first committee meeting since June's local election. There are a number of new faces on the committee. They are the 100% Redress Party's Ali Farn, Dennis McGee, Joy Beard and Sean Thomas Devine, and councillors Martin Scanlon, Brian Carr and Declan Meehan. One of the 100% Redress Party councillors is expected to be elected chair of the committee, taking over from councillor Martin McDermott. The crisis within the care system is leaving vulnerable children at risk. A report by the Child Law Project, which collects data from courts, shows there are no special care beds available for children who need them. Of particular concern are children being sexually or criminally exploited, with their placement often unable to stabilise them and address these risks. The decision to ban motorbikes parking on the newly renovated Diamond area of Donegal town has been met with backlash. The council issued a statement in recent days reminding people that the area is a pedestrian space and appealed to car, van, motorbike and mechanically propelled vehicles to use nearby car parks. The council is being urged to rethink their decision to restrict the Diamond area to a pedestrian-only area. And part of the Milford to Ramelton Road will be closed over the coming days to facilitate sewage main installation works. The route between Mahara Drummond Road and Moss Road will be closed from today until Friday between 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. each day. Diversions will be in place for the duration of the works. Those are the latest headlines. We'll be back with an update again at 12 noon.
Michaela, thank you very much indeed.
Is féidir le drogaí áine sa dul a bhaid mar tar bheala éagsúla, ach cuireann siad ar fada isteachart agus tú ag tomaint. Is féidir le roinnt drogaí tú bhfuilliú, rud a ágan bhfuil buíoláin go nionad tú botún.
Cuireann drogaí eile farragat tí bhír dom roistúrtha.
Bhín tú ag tomaint roisciúpaí Má bhín tú ag tomaint faoi cheannach ar drogaí is féidir leis tusa do chuid passionéirí agus daoine eile ar a móthar a chur a míl. Ná tomaint faoi cheannach ar drogaí go brach, ónúdar as umhaváilteocht ar bmhóide. Tour court at rsa.ie.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Just wanted to mention because we get a few texts on the excess deaths, and some claims have been going around saying that in 2024 there's 2,700 excess deaths, and why aren't you talking about that? So I'm going to go by the CSO figures, the official figures, what that records and accounts for deaths, because that's the... Might be, Caroline. But sorry, I'll double check that in a second. But I'm in the right link. I think you've sent other people the wrong link. Is what the issue is. Right, sorry. It's back to this more serious matter here of the excess deaths. So there are claims going around on social media that there's 2,697 excess deaths in 2024. But so far, just to run through the figures, 2020, 13,127, 2021, 13,028, 2022, 12,951, 2023, 12,934, not until now, 12,827. The population, because of an aging population, the deaths per year are supposed to statistically be 700 ahead of the year before because people are getting older. But that's not happening here. So deaths so far for 2024 actually are well below what's expected in any given year. Now, that's not for me to get involved in an argument about excess deaths. I'm just giving you the official CSO statistics as it relates to that. Now, you might dispute them, and that's fine, but that's what the official statistics tell us. Glad to hear Paul talking earlier about this. The other driver caused a collision in our case, yet the person taken to hospital was tested and the other person was given a lift on to their destination. We felt the same frustration, and when we complained about it, nothing happened. Great to hear you mention the Diamond in Donegal town and the bikers. I think a discussion is needed on this subject. Well, we've been having it this morning. This is the platform. This is the discussion. This is the town square. Any further comment on that? More than welcome to the show. Hi, Greg. This is an interesting one because I don't know where this is coming from. Hi, I'm Greg. I'm disappointed with your negativity towards electric cars. I have an electric car for over 2 years and it is the safest car I've ever driven, with lane assist, impact warnings, tiredness warnings, speed warnings, keep your hands on the steering wheels alert. Most collisions happen with driver error, not the fault of the car. Electric cars are the way forward. That comes in from Cahill from Letterkenny. Well, Cahill, I drove electric vehicles for a number of years and I'm driving currently one that effectively is an electric car. I have no issues with electric vehicles. What I do have, though, is a problem with the poor electric car infrastructure. But no, I think electric cars are great, personally speaking. Let me see. We're joined on the programme now by Brendan Devaney. Hi, Brendan.
Greg, yeah, keeping your hands on the steering wheel. That's always good advice in the car. Yeah,
unless you're in a Tesla.
Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Yeah, good advice.
I agree. You don't need the car to tell you that. I have no idea what we're talking about because I haven't been given any notes, but they're always quite fleeting in any case. I know you like the hurling, and I know you like to see how things are progressing here in a county perspective. But big game at the weekend too. Big hurling game. Did you watch? Did you enjoy?
I've only seen the second game now, Greg. I didn't see the first game. I was at a wedding on Friday, which rolls into a wedding on a Saturday, so it was the couch yesterday, and I was glad of the hurling to give me a wee bit of a pep up because I was struggling.
Yeah, indeed. And come here, just before we talk about tonight's show, and it's kind of looking forward to next week, of course, Donegal ladies had an important win at the weekend as well.
Yeah, certainly. Just that's the staving off the relegation, Greg. So yeah, important stuff for the ladies. It's a seasonal rebuild, as we know, but they probably went further in terms of what was the whole counties and maybe their own estimations of what could have been in the season. So great signs, Greg, for this team going into next year. And well done to John McNulty and all involved, because Donegal had such a run of absolute stars of players there, and that all has to always come to an end, and it always takes a while to rebuild, but they certainly speeded that up this season with some brilliant performances. Ulster final, and of course a draw with Kerry in the championship.
Yeah, listen, excitement's building now ahead of next weekend, and the DL debate is out of the studio. You're broadcasting live from Highland Motors, not too far away, so you can just run a mic cable over there. You've got John Gilday on the show, Jar Fallon too, from a Galway perspective as well, Neil Loughran of the Irish News. Right, we're sort of getting into build-up territory now, Brendan. It's going to be a huge game, isn't it?
Oh, listen, Greg, semi-finals, there's not too many come this way in Donegal, even though for all those years we were so brilliant in Ulster, and you'd have to say that for 10 years the best team in Ulster, we didn't see that many semi-finals compared with Ulster ones. Obviously from years gone by that would have automatically put you into it, but with the changing nature of championship, it was a different route, and it's the first semi since 2014, and it's no coincidence that was Jim's last year, and this is his first, and we're back again. So yeah, it's exciting. Like, it's very hard to cheer for championship. I think there's been so much questions about, the form of teams and players, and the condensed championship and the group phases. There's so many questions around it. It's very hard to understand exactly the consistencies of teams. Now, probably Donegal's one of the few in there that have been really consistent throughout, except for probably you'd say the Cork game, and for this Galway side, and they've been very up and down. There's tons of injuries in the mix, so it's been very hard to predict. And the reason I think some people were so surprised at their victory over Dublin was because it was the previous game against Monaghan, when Monaghan, who were having a really poor season, went down and really put it up to them. And McBennett had to underside the bar for Monaghan with about 10 to go, would have put them one up. It could have been a very different story. So that said, in 2022, Galway very easily could have been All-Ireland champions, and all those players are still there. The thing is, a lot of them were a bit walking wounded, but once they had them all on the pitch, and particularly at Croke Park, this Galway side is a team absolutely packed with talent and ability, and that came to the fore against Dublin, and I guess that's the warning. That's why I think they're going into this game slight favourites over Donegal.
So, given the nature of the pitch at Croke Park and the type of play that it sort of can encourage and accommodate, do you think that favours Galway over Donegal?
I don't think so, Rick. I think our players are completely adept at playing at Croke Park, because we have so many players can beat people, drop the shoulder and take people on, which ends up being, probably one of the biggest aspects of any team at the minute, and that's how we destroyed Louth. It was just by people being able to beat their opposite number, and I think that's probably a warning for Galway. But that said, Galway have, you're up 3 or 4 notches versus Louth in terms of their forward play and their ability, and how we judge with that. I mean, the way, the last day Mark Kern was left out of the squad, and we went with a full attacking team, basically, with Conor O'Donnell coming on a corner forward for a corner back. I think that might change around this game, because particularly with, Comer and Finnerty, Walsh, Tierney, Conrad, there's so many players out there that have ability that we can't afford to not be marked or tied down, particularly on our inside line. I think Galway will look to leave 2 inside a lot of the time, so they'll have to be marked by out-and-out defenders. So I think Donegal will have to change their style from Louth. But listen, they're well adapted doing that. It'll be a completely different game. So I guess if you're looking at the performance of Galway against Dublin, that's a very different proposition. If you look at them from the previous game to Galway, you think, or Monaghan, you think we beat them. So it's just hard to get a read on teams where they're at, Greg. But you'll see a very different performance, I think, tactically from Donegal from the Louth one.
Yeah, both teams can score. Both teams can claw back, 4 or 5 point deficits. It should be tight. It should ebb and flow.
Yeah, and goals, Greg. I suppose you're looking at goals. Galway have only conceded 1 in the whole championship, which is phenomenal stuff. I mean, we in only 1 game we conceded 3. I suppose that Cork game, which was maybe a bit of a wake up. So we're not conceding them other. So it's very interesting how, even though we're playing supposedly with so many forwards, we're not conceding goals. It's because when we get into our shape, we're still able to stop people getting in around the house for a 3-point score. Now, people say against Louth, it was too easy for them to kick over the bar, but I just think that game, we played it in terms of, I think we could go and hurt them when we needed to, and we knew we had the measure of them, so we didn't need to completely lock down our defence. I think that'll be different against this Galway team. That said, like, if very even, you're on about teams, players. I mean, Walsh, for example, that is so talked about, has had a terrible season. The game before he went off injured against Monaghan, and Park Joyce more or less says it didn't matter because he wasn't doing anything, and then he comes and has that 7-point performance against Dublin. So there's, I suppose, the warnings in there. There's different players stepping up in different days, and we do that as well. So you're just looking for, I suppose, our whole team to hit a certain level. And then if you look at the performance of the likes of Pater Mogan the last day in particular, and Ryan McHugh and some of the midfield play then of Langan and Big Keelan McGonigal coming from midfield. And of course, Jason McGee's the big question mark, Greg, just whether he can play in this game. And when Louth squeezed us up, we had a bit of trouble with our kick out, which Galway's definitely going to look at and do. And that they have huge midfield power out there. So without Patton being able to hit Jason McGee, that was a big, I suppose, warning shot for us the last day against Louth.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about form going into the games and trying to read form, and of course, I think you could probably explain the court result from a Donegal perspective if you wanted to. You just get the sense that these guys, as individuals, but also as a team, they must feel somewhat bulletproof, not to the point of arrogance and sort of and taking anyone for granted, but the confidence has to be high, both individually, what most of them have achieved, but also collectively as a team when the going gets tough.
Yeah, and I suppose that's going back to what Jim and his team there are instilling in them. You look at the energy there against Louth, and people are talking about the season and about Ulster and what it takes out of you. And obviously, we had to beat, Derry, Tyrone, and Armagh to go all the way, extra time, and two of them, and that. The people are saying, how would that take out of this Donegal team? Now, I know we had the week break because we topped the group, Greg, but Donegal looked so fresh against Louth. It was remarkable. It just seemed to be constant running all over the pitch, and it was a strange enough game how open it was, Greg, and I'm hoping this game is as exciting end to end, but maybe from our own perspective we got to be careful because this Galway team has a lot more ability about it than Louth, so how we play it'll have to be, I think, a wee bit more tactically shrewder, but it still is set up for a brilliant match.
So in a game like that, Jim McGuinness starts a certain way, a little bit like a boxing match where the two fighters sort of they feel each other out, a few jabs, don't overcommit because you don't going to get a knockout. Jim McGuinness will start off a little bit like that, but he'll have a point, won't he, in his mind where he'll be able to instruct the players to adapt, to adjust. That's what we seem to be able to do now.
Yeah, and that's a key, Greg. You hit the nail on the head there. The modern football has to adapt to every situation. It used to be a thing, Greg, where if I found myself out past the 45, I'm like, what am I doing out here? Now you have Oisin Gallen down making dispossessions on our own 13-yard line. Like, it's just players are just everywhere all the time. And the work that the lads have to be in fitness-wise, and I know Anton McFadden's in the back doing S&C there. Listen, the fitness levels of the lads to get up and down, and then be composed in. And if you look at, say, Patrick Morgan the last day, he was like superhuman. He was taking off, and then he was clipping the ball over from ridiculous angles and that. So I think that's the key. Whether Donegal go cagey or not, Greg, I often think, be prepared. You look at I always look back to the game against Tyrone at Balbuffet. The first ball was one given to Darrell Boyle. Normally, as you said there, Greg, we go back and build. He went straight at Tyrone, up that flank, and again I thought, wow, here we go. Donegal aren't going to keep ball here. They're going after him. So I think sometimes different teams might plan to do things, and then people take it on their own chest to say, here, I'm just going to attack the play here. And I think the teams that attack, Greg, are the teams that succeed, particularly when we get to Croke Park. If you look at Derry the last day, sitting in, it was a horrible game with Kerry, but you just got the feeling eventually Kerry will break them down and you lose the match. So I think the key is, we all these teams, they have to outscore, and we look at the magic 20-point mark. If you want to be in playing against a big team, you're going to aim for that.
And we're not far off it. We're not far off it in all the games. It's just
we're just a point below Galway and the likes of Kerry and that. And I think, as I say, even Derry sucked Kerry into a really defensive dour game, but they still got beat. So a bit like what they played against Dublin, that tack, they'd be better off going for Kerry because they weren't going to punch enough holes. And late on, when the game opens up, then the better team will usually wear you down.
I think Jim McGuinness gets that, though, because we talked about it over the years, Brandon, where I think really what you're effectively saying, if we're going to get beaten, let's go out on our sword rather than employ negative defensive tactics that are puke to watch and you're going to get beaten anyway. But I think the Jim McGuinness factor is going to avoid that for us. Also, I mean, listen, that's mouth-watering because of our interest in it. But the second semi-final, Armagh versus Kerry, in and of itself chucks up a million scenarios and stories as well. I know you're going to be focusing on one side of the draw, not ignoring the other, but that in itself is also another fascinating game on the fantastic pitch that's Croke Park.
Yeah, indeed, Greg, and really hard to know how to call that there because, again, Armagh have been so up and down in terms of their season, and people keep saying about Kerry, who have they played, but they've done what they've needed to do in every game, and certainly with the Dubs gone now, everybody in Kerry's thinking, right, time to take this title again. They're obviously we're always the standard bearers, and very much Dublin have taken that perch over this last 10 to 12 years. So I think for them now, they'll be thinking, right, we're better than the other three sides that's in it. Let's beat Armagh and get to the final. But I think this Armagh team again, Greg, if they go for it, they have the power and the ability inside. Mernon, Turbot, Connolly, all of them are ball winners. Creeley now is midfield partnership with Big Grimley, allowing Rian O'Neill to play and sweep around. And if you look at Kerry, the likes of Clifford and Sean O'Shea, they're not shooting the lights out anymore. And they're playing quite a tactical game, and they're getting through games. But they haven't had, I think Armagh will be their biggest test so far. They came up with the goods against Eben. I think Armagh offer a lot more going forward. They have a great bench as well. So yeah, another fascinating.
I think we're looking at an All-Ulster final. I'm just saying it there. I think that's what we're looking for. It's written in the stars. So this evening shows live from Highland Motors at the mountaintop here in Letterkenny. John Goulday's there. We're going to be hearing from All-Ireland winner, Galway All-Ireland winner Gia Fallon and Neil Loughran, two of the Irish News. A great panel of guests, and I'm sure much more than that as well. Brendan, as always, thank you very much indeed. You've no weddings on next weekend?
No, definitely. I'll have the voice ready next week.
Tell you, you've landed on your feet there, didn't you? 2 days weddings this weekend and clear next weekend.
Well done, Megan and Steve. Great timing. Yeah, he was a dub. Get a bit of touch. He was a dub, actually, a big dub fan, so we were having a bit of laugh with him. It was unusual for him to be out at this time and us to be in, but anyway.
I love the way you say we had a bit of laugh in inverted commas. I'm not sure you'd have been laughing too much. All right. Take care, Brendan. Thanks so very much indeed, Brendan Devaney. The DL debate live for you after the 7 o'clock news this evening.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Oh, set you down on your rubbers. Let's go!
Join Derek Ryan live at O'Flaherty's out the back in Buncrana this Saturday 13th of July. Joining Derek Ryan is very special guest Gavin Cribben. Live at O'Flaherty's out the back in Buncrana this Saturday 13th of July. Tickets on sale from DerekRyanMusic.com.
Check out SuperValue's Real Rewards prices. Scan your card or app and get Persil, Ariel and Bold 38 to 60 wash selected range, 2 for €18. And Pepsi and 7-Up 2 litre range, 2 for €3. Plus, save even more with weekly vouchers on the Real Rewards app. Make real savings every week at SuperValue. DRS supplies.
Bei imeachtaí den Sky siúl do ga éisiúrpa agus cúlra i rí mór éile an tairí in Nunanal. Béla Alín an Erigal a bheith siúl idir an 3 go fiche 8 úl. Bei ceol bra le clisteal mar aon le dramaíocht, imeachtaí circus, Arc Alína agus Alína Shreja ó Ghilan Nunanal agus a Gaeltacht Iarthar an Hyundai ho fada le híisiil chríthe ar her Nunanal agus leit inis na seón. Tuair cuirtear EAF.ie hon sunraí amlana a eil faoi éile Alín an Erigal le takeíocht ó chóirle Hyundai Nunanal.
Dreaming of a family adventure? Loganair has you covered with our Kids Fly Fare Free offer. Start planning today. Limited time offer booked by 9th July. T's and C's apply. Children aged 11 and under eligible and must fly with full fare paying accompanying adults. Book today at loganair.co.uk. Loganair, your journey, our joy.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is
11:22. You're very welcome back to the 9 till Noon show. A caller says climate change is harsh extremities, harsher winters, warmer summers. We, as in the Western world, are doing the most. China, India, Russia are the biggest polluters in the world, yet nothing is happening to them. Just think we shouldn't be penalised as heavy when we're only a fraction compared to the Eastern countries. Certainly a point of view there. Hi Greg, I work in a great job which I love, but for no reason in particular recently it's become a highly toxic environment which is slowly killing me. I work with a lot of young people. I spend so much of my day dealing with their mental health issues, and I really wonder if parents know about their behaviour, or where did it become so acceptable to use anxiety and mental health as an excuse to talk with such disrespect and refuse to do a job you're paid to do. They seem to have developed an attitude that they come to work and I should be grateful for it. The fact that they are paid to do their job has become almost irrelevant. I do worry for the future of our world with this behaviour. Am I the only one facing this at the minute? I don't know. Let's throw it out there. to the listeners. They're working with young people. I think there's a sort of a sense of entitlement there, is it? And if there's something that they don't like, they might cite anxiety or mental health as an excuse to talk with disrespect and refuse to do the job they're paid for. Let us know if that's something that resonates with you. 08660 25,000. I also looked at a car in a garage and went home to think about it. The salesman called me later that evening and I gave him €500 of a deposit over the phone. The next morning I changed my mind. Until date, they've refused to give me back the deposit, despite no signed agreement. Plus, every sale's allowed 17 to 14 days of a cooling off period. Bottom line is, if they're taking the cash and it's against the law. This is off the back of a listener earlier on that contacted us to say that their relation had put a deposit down on a car. They went to go and get a loan for that car. The loan fell through effectively, so the deal couldn't go through. Now, they didn't state in that text whether the garage refused to give the deposit back. Maybe it happened sort of over the weekend and they want to know. They are refusing to give it back, are they? Wow, okay. And is it a big garage, or it is? Is it something we're pursuing? We're going to check in with them. Right, they're refusing to give it back. I just don't see how that is good business. Give it back and say, look, when you get a loan, come back and we'll look after you. I don't understand the logic there. Hi, Greg. Going to a funeral. I bought ticket for parking at 10 to 10 to last an hour, but only saying till 11:32. That can't be right. I got ticket at top of Church Lane. Thanks. That must be Letterkenny. Wow, okay. Let me see. Is it because the half hour is free? I don't know. 10 to 10. No, that doesn't work out either. It's 42 minutes. I don't know what the reason for that is. Anyone else spotted that? Let me know. Hi, Greg. Nice to see Harlan get a mention on RTE last week. Is it RT? What is RT? RTOAP, where young people move in with OAPs for a while to see if it can be long term. The pensioner asked Alexa to play Highland Radio, proceeded to dance around to country music. This was Tala in Dublin. Also, Nathan Carter was on Living with Lucy. He said it was Highland Radio that played his records when he started. Great to see you getting a bit of credit. That comes in from Cahill Flood. Thanks, Cahill. And it was our late, great one and only Peel McCann, I think, that was one of the first two to spot Nathan Carter's potential. I was in a collision a number of years ago. The person drove into me and then drove on. I followed the car and called the Garda and he was stopped. It was clear to me the other person had been drinking, but like your caller, I was the one breathalyzed and the driver who drove on wasn't. That particularly doesn't make sense, because I presume you were able to say to the guards, look, they came at me, they've caused the damage. You need to check what the story is with them. All right, that's very interesting indeed. Right, okay, we're going to take a very short break. And after that, we're going to go to Monday Focus. Our guest is Dr. Eben Joseph. And we're going to talk to Dr. Joseph about Ireland, as Ireland's special rapporteur on the government's plans to tackle racism in the country. We're going to speak effectively about that issue. So stay with us.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook and at highlandradio.com. The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 32575.
Buying or moving home can be a strange mixture of excitement and stress. So the last thing you need is worrying about conveyancing. Time to call McElhenney & Associates. They'll move that property transaction along swiftly, make sure everything's in order, and prevent any nasty surprises. Residential, commercial, leasing, or voluntary transfer, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. We'll do the paperwork, you do the wallpaper. McElhenney & Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help?
Do you need a UK address? Save hundreds of euros on custom charges shopping online with Space Hub Dairy. We provide a full virtual address mailbox service for all your business and personal use. Save hundreds, possibly thousands, on custom charges with Space Hub Dairy. Call 048 7187 8077 for more details.
Atlantic Travel. Bonded, licensed and trusted in Ireland. Expert advice on your world adventure. Search for sun, cities or a last-minute escape to sandy shores. Get away this summer with tantalising offers, luxury resorts and family favourites. Free kids places still available. The offers won't last forever, but the memories will. Book now with a trusted travel agent. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
Clonmany Agriculture Show. Monster Draw. €100,000 in prizes. First prize a Valtra tractor or Skoda Kodiaq car. Second prize a Skoda Fabia car or €15,000. Plus 8 other cash prizes. Tickets now available online at clonmanyshow.com or any committee member.
Now, the government has announced Dr. Eben Joseph as special rapporteur for the National Plan Against Racism, which was published over a year ago. Dr. Joseph is a Nigerian-Irish lecturer who founded the first Black Studies University model in Ireland. And Dr. Joseph is with us now. Good morning to you and thank you so much for your time. Good morning. You might just unmute for me, Doctor, if that's okay. I want to be able to hear you.
I forgot I was on mute.
How long have we been using Zoom, Doctor? Come on.
Well, it's part of it. Unmute yourself. So that's part of the fun of Zoom. You keep hearing, unmute yourself. You're on mute, And we wish in real life we could just,
I know.
okay, just stay on mute for a bit.
But it's great because it gives us the remote access to you, which is very useful. And congratulations on your appointment as special rapporteur for the National Plan Against Racism. Talk to me about this plan. Are we working through it at the moment? Do we have it established what it is? Do we know the work that we need to be that needs to be done? Besides the obvious, Doctor.
No, we do. I mean, the work was done. Thank you so much for inviting me to your station today. And so again, this work was done, from, I think, was it 2020 when they were commissioned. So a group of people were commissioned and was headed by the professor from UCC. And she worked with people from diverse group, travelers, people from different communities. They all worked together and they came up with a plan for Ireland. And, so this National Action Plan is actually a government-led initiative to first acknowledge, that yes, the impact of racism, but also to actively address it. So that's the good thing about the plan, that it is actually government-led. And that's one of the things we've been asking for this to be from top down. With all the work I've been doing has been from bottom up. So it's been really difficult. But so if we can actually get the government, to take ownership and to lead by example. So that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
In 2001, the nations came up, it was called the Durban Declaration in the World Conference in 2001. And they agreed, in member states, signed up. So it's not just Ireland that signed up. Member states signed up. A lot of member states have actually started doing things about the plan. And so we just, coming on board now. So it is a positive thing for us as a nation.
I want to talk to you a little later about the impact of racism, because I think really there's this sense that it's just feelings, but obviously it can have a far greater impact on that. Not that feelings in and of itself is not enough, but the ramifications of it. But I want to just establish where we believe we are in this country. I've spoken to people from different backgrounds, different parts of the world that have been here for, 20, 30 years. Their children are Irish born and reared children. And for some of them, they're actually starting to experience racism for the first time. And their children too, it's having to be explained to them why all of a sudden it feels like they're being told to go back home or whatever else might be said. Is that just one or two examples of I'm talking of, or are we going backwards in terms of race relations in this country, Dr. Joseph?
It is really sad, because I was speaking with somebody, was it yesterday or 2 days ago, and he was just saying, oh, you've been here like 22 years. Wow, blah, blah, blah. I said, and she said that, so they wanted to know if it was getting worse. I said, actually, when I first came to Ireland, even while they were there were not as many people of color or people, diversity in the space, but there was an openness to, both from the government and from the people. There was an openness to learn, to for that integration. We were even thinking about names. We were talking about recognition and all of those things. So we were on that pathway. But what happened was 2007, 2008, 2009, when the recession came, infighting began and everything started going down. We lost, the national plan, we lost a lot of things. So the funding to that department began to go. The dedicated minister left, so a lot of things began to happen. So, and I think I think we went backward. I think we definitely went backward because there were things, I had access to, and I could do, that just changed now. So we went backward. Now, you might be surprised because you say, but there are more people of color or there are more travelers, in educational spaces. But there's also more harm being caused. People are saying things that they would not have said openly years ago.
People feel empowered to say what they think because it's my thoughts. And but obviously we want to get to a point whereby we treat each other wherever we are and wherever we're from fairly. But we are already, Ireland is already a diverse multicultural country, right? People sort of, you would almost think the conversation is that we're in the process of change when there's people from all different backgrounds, people of colour living here for many generations. Do we not have enough understanding of each other? Do we mix enough? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out how the penny hasn't dropped that lots of different people live here already. You know what I mean? And that's the case. What do we need to be doing that we don't fear each other, we understand each other more, we respect each other, we don't feel threatened by each other? That's where I think we really need to be working at, rather than dealing with the cut or the illness, sort of treat it before we get there. And I wonder, are we doing enough?
We're definitely not doing enough. And it's so good that you're saying that because, I almost want to say, we're never going to go back to the island where everybody is white. It's never going to happen again. Never. Because now we have mixed race children, that for them, you can't split them into, okay, this is the black part of you, this is the white. It's not going to happen. So we have mixed race children. And I'm not just saying they were born now. I don't know if you know Jude, but Jude, he's 82 years young, but he was born in Ireland. He's mixed race, but he's 82. He was born in Ireland. So what are you going to say to him? What would you ask him to go to? South Africa? Nigeria? This is home. He has kids.
But we're at the point now too, though, whereby there are a group of people in this country now, and I think as we saw from the elections, maybe it's slightly over amplified. The extremities in relation to this, but they'd be quite unapologetic on social media. They'd say, send Jude home. We need to roll back the clock. If it's 100 years, we have to go back. Let's roll it back, because this is a land of Celts. We're all white with red hair and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but I don't think that's the majority. I think there's extremes in one end to the other. But I think I think the majority of people sort of in the centre don't really think that way.
No,
I don't think so.
Honestly, if you follow my page, so if you follow my LinkedIn and you follow my Twitter, you will see a divergent group there. So you will see a group who are like, oh my God, this is amazing, and this is amazing, and then you see another group who are saying, kill her, send her back home. She's a racism Caesar and blah blah blah. So there's all of that. But honestly, like you say, the majority of the people don't think that, and that is the good thing. And we have to learn to develop a thick skin and understand that almost, I guess for me, it's like looking at, like you said, it's like the bell curve. 25% of the people will, balk. But our hope is that we can reduce it from 25%. It's still a high percentage to have against, so we hope that Ireland will be able to, as a society, we can do a whole lot more.
I think it's quite interesting. I beg your pardon. Sorry, Doctor. I was going to say, I think it's quite interesting how you timeline it, in that as we approach the recession, things sort of went south, and we're going through a period now where things are somewhat going south. And I think really it's not necessarily that all of a sudden people are scared or fearful or dislike people that might not look the same as them. I think when the society feels unfair, you know, that people can't get in to see a doctor, that people are struggling to get a dental appointment, that the hospital is overcrowding, we have a tendency rather than sort of looking towards those that are in power and making the decisions to sort of blame other people who we think are sort of taking those services from us. So it's almost like a symptom, I think, of how the country's getting on and how the general public feel. And I think often the anger can be directed in the wrong direction.
And I think it's two ways. So one, yes, there is that, you know, that things are going wrong and we're blaming. So it's easier to blame the people of migrant descent. It's easier to blame them. And the government is not also doing anything to counter that, because it's easy enough to do. All you need to do is to show the data and show the statistics. And hopefully those are some of the things we can also do as well. You can show the data and actually show that actually the percentage of those people in our hospitals, they're not the ones occupying the hospital beds. You know, in 2004, they said, oh, let's stop, you know, that, you know, Ireland was, you know, a lot of women were having babies here, and it stopped. But our hospital beds are still, you know, we still don't have hospital beds. Do you understand? We still don't have hospital space. So it's not that. It's not immigrants who are taking the housing spaces. We're just not building enough, or, you know, our housing system. It's a system with the problem with the system. So not the people of migrant descent. Actually, do you know that if you look at the funds that people of migrant descent do bring in here, for example, international students, we pay 4,000, 3,000, you know, to go to school here. As an international student, they pay 54,000 for 1 year. 1 year. They pay almost 10 times what we pay as citizens. So even from our education system, it's being supported by international fees. You know, we export to these countries. Do you understand? You know, in Africa, one of the major exports from Ireland is to Nigeria. We have over 200 million people in Nigeria. So one export to Nigeria alone, it is massive. So we make a lot of money from exporting to a country like Nigeria. So some of that exchange is not being learned. Do you understand? That actually people are bringing things here.
Yeah, but you see, as well as that too, Dr. Joseph, I mean, I like, I'm hearing you, but why is it lots of people this message is only being articulated to them now? Like, I think one of the greatest errors that this government or any government seemingly has is communicating with the people, relating such information. You know, they have got thousands of former journalists, many of them working in communications, and I wonder, well, what are they all doing? Because, you know, like, in terms of communicating, liaising and helping people to understand, that is completely absent. And in that vacuum, there are others that are prepared to step in. But I that's the one thing I don't understand, is why some of the conversation that you're articulating, why do we not hear that information from official sources, in inverted commas? And I know you're official source, but I hope you understand the tone of the question.
No, I do understand. And I'm totally with you there. I'm totally with you there. And I think I said that on my 6-1 interview, and it was taken out of context, and I had a 200-person follower who took me on X, you know, saying that I'm saying I want to educate, or I want to train Ireland, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, we need to inform people, give people, you know, correct information so we can make, you know, informed decisions. And this kind of information is not out there, you know, and that's what I'm saying, that it is there. Even citizenship alone, if you know the amount of money that we make as a nation with the citizenships we grant, we make money from that. It's part of our income, you know. So it's talking about that. I was saying jokingly, I was like, you know, if everybody of migrant descent were to just say, you know what, this is a no work day for us, that all of us, the Nigerian, the Chinese, the Indian, you know, of Indian descent, whether you were born here or not, whether your half parent or not was Irish or not, we all just say, you know what, today we're just going to take a sunny day, you know, find a sunny day in Ireland and not go to work. There'll be utter chaos.
I think we can.
And that is not being communicated enough.
Yeah, I think also. Listen, I'm not being all woke on this, by the way, because we get lots of diverse opinions on this program, by the way. But there's a tone of this conversation because of your appointment and what have you. But you know, people need to sort of, again, this comes down to communication, as to you know. what is a danger in this country, right? What should people be scared of? What's a threat to our children? What's a threat to our women? Found ourselves in a situation whereby a lot of the commentary on social media is that migrant men are a huge danger, but we then ignore a lot of the sort of Irish assaults, to the point whereby we had the soldier Crotty effectively saying, well, it's not his fault. She came up and had a go at him. So we actually mitigate and make excuses for the white guy. Now, I think the truth is somewhere in between. Do you know what I mean? But people need to we really need to think for themselves. And I think the government has a job to do in terms of educating, not to tell people what to think, but to give people information, because the information simply does not lie. And if there is a peak or if there is a trend, then we have to sort that out, right? You know what I mean? But
And just in that, when there was a time, I think, when we had the last riots, I was a little bit upset then, because it put fear in everybody. Parents won't let their kids go out. Your kids go out and you're on the phone. It caused a lot of unrest, and not just among migrant families, but among people that, for them, these kids were born here. This is their home. Now their parents are monitoring, where are you? You need to come back home, So all of that. So we are curtailing their youthfulness. We are not even allowing them to be that. And I said, look, and one of the things the government said was that, we're going to put more Garda on the street. I'm saying that's not a solution. Yes, we don't mind more Garda on the street, but when you're saying we're going to put more Garda on the street, it's as if you're actually saying, yes, these people are criminals, they are rapists, and they are that. What we needed to do was to say, let's look at the statistics. The data is there. Let's look at the costs, the percentage of people that come in, from migrant descent who have caused harm to our women and our children. And then let's compare with the percentage, of, native Irish who have caused harm. So if the percentage, even if it is one must be, I'm not saying that one is too small, one must be prosecuted right? But so that we can put the problem within context, because it is blown out of context, and so that people can make informed decision that, yes, it is a threat, but the threat is minimal. We can manage it. We can, do you understand? We can get the culprit and put them in jail if we need to, but if we blow it out of proportion and make it look like, then we endanger, more people, and all of that. It was easy enough to do. They could have just done analysis of data to look at the percentage of, people of migrant descent who have committed crime in Ireland compared to our native, if effect against women, abuse within the home, all of those things. It's easy enough to do. It's just data.
Jimmy's got a quick point. Hi, Jimmy.
Hi, Greg. How are you?
Not too bad, Jimmy.
Just listening to your program there.
Yeah, please, appreciate that.
I'm just curious, referring back to the aspect of waiting lists and beds in hospitals. It's my understanding that in the last 5-6 years, we've allowed in probably 150,000 various people, immigrants, whatever, Ukrainians, etc. And we have, if I'm not to be mistaken, given them all medical cards. And we haven't built any more hospitals. Where do we get these extra beds from? I'm sure 50% of those people are availing of the facilities now.
But Jimmy,
what is the doctor suggesting?
Just a wee question to you, and this is not being argumentative at all. But if you think back 10 years ago, do you think there was no waiting lists in hospitals or what have you, or do you think this is a new thing that's happened?
No, this is not new. I personally was on a waiting list for 6 years. Thankfully, there wasn't too much wrong with me, and eventually I did get seen to, and at that stage I needed the treatment. Okay. But no, we've always had waiting lists. We've never. I don't understand how people can go to France and Spain and these places and there isn't any waiting list. What's wrong with our system? Do we need 2 more hospitals or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I'm just wondering what the doctor would suggest.
I'm not sure. Dr. Joseph is a medical doctor. But I mean, no, that's fine. It still has an opinion. It's just interesting in that the Letterkenny University Hospital they are literally crying out for more beds, in the ED, and they have been doing for years. Thanks very much for that, Jimmy. The question, Dr. Joseph, the question is simple, Dr. Joseph. How do we progress? We haven't built any more hospitals. I think Jimmy's been quite conservative in the 150,000 population growth.
Again, and I think the key thing is that, that this 150,000, they are not all in the hospital. So, for example, my 2 boys, I don't I don't think I've ever had to take them to the hospital for anything. Only once when one ate a fish, and he's 20 now. He ate fish and a bone got stuck in his throat. And I had to say, oh my God. That's the only time I think I ever took him to the hospital. Oh yes, and he was playing basketball and and he hurt his finger. Do you understand? 20 years old. I've only taken him to the hospital twice. The day he was born once and 2 times a bone. And do you understand? So it makes it look like if migrants are just sleeping in. It's our system that is broken. Our hospital system, we need to find a system that is more effective. So what I used to work in the Royal College of Surgeons. So whether we need to have, they have what they call physician associates, So physician associate, like in the United States, they've trained more physician associates. They do everything a doctor does. The only thing is that they don't, prescribe, So they can actually take a whole number of people can actually pass through, physician associate if we train more. So it's the way we are operating. Another thing, and this is a pet hate for me, because we keep complaining, no beds, no doctors, blah, blah, blah. Do you know, in Ireland, we train, most of our Irish doctors are trained. They all emigrate to, America. They go to Canada, Australia, because, they pay them a little bit more there, and their training is a shorter time. But the people from the continents that comes here to train, we then don't give them permits to stay here and work. I'm like, it's a no-brainer. We've trained them for 5 years. They've paid international fees. Give them, permit them to stay, and they give you 6 years of their labor. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So there are ways to go around those things that, we just need to sit down and work.
What do you say
not migrants
to
clogging up the beds?
Dr. Joseph, what do you say to people who, and they wouldn't be classed as racist, but they would be of the view that they say they're living in the community. They can't get a house. Their children have no prospect of being able to get a house. They can't rent. And they're saying, look, we don't mind people coming to this country, but we should first look after the Irish first, right? Now, that Irish person could be your 2 sons, right? Even though they're young people of colour. Yeah. But my point is how do you counter that? Or is there any counter to it? I'll read the text as it's sent in. It's kind of ironic because presumably they're not listening to hear the answer. I had to turn Highland off once again. Are you going to give us an even playing field and accept that us locals have to put up with racism too? I believe in live and let live, but I resent the way Irish people are being treated in their own country.
Look, okay, let me say one thing, right? And just in case, people, he's listening or somebody else is listening who has the same thought. See, think about it, that these laws that people of migrant descent are part of in Ireland, for example, social welfare, housing, not laws that were set up apart from direct provision. These are not laws that were set up for migrants. They were laws that were set up for Irish people. They were not set up for people of migrant descent. They were set up for Irish people. And so any law, anything that benefits a person of migrant descent to be able to get on a housing list also benefits a native Irish person to get on a housing list. The only difference is if you are in direct provision. And direct provision, honestly, you don't want your kids there. You don't want to be there. There are like 12 people in one room, 8 people in one room, and they're living on 26 euros or 29 euros. Do you understand? So this is not a new law that was set up for them. It is the same thing. Don't forget that a lot of people, I used to work in 2020, I was working 4 jobs, raising two boys on my own as a single parent. And then on top of four jobs, I was also doing voluntary work, running organization, doing voluntary work, appearing in things, all of these. As one person, I was writing, trying to maintain my career, you understand? So I don't get free house, but you might see me living in a house, but I had to do 4 jobs to pay for the house I'm living in.
Okay.
Do you understand? So when you see that, just don't forget that sometimes people are actually working to pay for. They are doctors, they are care assistants. You see them working in shops, and so many of them can afford to pay their own rent. They are paying the same high rent as you as well.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. Have a lovely day. That is Dr. Eben Joseph there. Now, we would have a lot of messages and a lot of comments, and we've heard from them and spoke to them of people who expressed the views that the hospitals are overcrowded. There's no school places. They can't get a bus space for their child, but others can. That people are being looked after. Other people are being looked after whilst they're struggling and can't make ends meet, and that their children are being forced to emigrate because other people have taken their jobs and all that type of stuff. And that's heard a lot. Dr. Joseph there is perhaps talking from the other perspective, and also really, I think, talking about the fact that we need to talk and get somewhere done. So that's the flip side of it. Okay, there's an awful lot of stuff that said that Dr. Joseph would disagree with. So the balance is somewhere there in between. Right, I have to take a very quick break, unfortunately. So we might have to speak to our guest who's lined up here after tomorrow, maybe if they're available.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
If you're heading off on holidays, why not treat yourself to a pair of designer sunglasses? At Louis Walsh Opticians, you'll find a full range of top-name sunglasses at great prices, so you'll look your best while your eyes are properly protected. For a sight test with an OCD 3D scan, contact lenses, or a driver's sight report, Louis Walsh Opticians, Letterkenny's longest established and family-run opticians, are located in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. Call 91 21000.
This summer at Boots, we're with you for hay fever relief to take on that high, as well as foot care to take care of yourself afterwards. With buy one, get the second half price on health solutions, we're with you for saving summer. Boots, with you for life. Selected stores, products and boots.ie excludes medicines. Cheapest product half price. Offer ends 10th September.
Le nísmó bailí fud na tíre, so lá rion do Hervís bus nasc le líonra úmpar 5 TFI níos léhanna. So bhil suas le trucha faoin géad nuair a úsáidan tú do charta líb TFI. Le haid tuile eolais faoi slete agus amchláir túir cuairt ar transportforireland.ie. Is sinne Transport for Ireland. Is muid úmpar dit.
Tired of having something to say and no one to say it to? Do you want your voice to be heard? Why not join Highland Radio's Your Community, Your Voice programme? We are seeking candidates to learn all things radio, audio, podcasting and so much more. Let our experienced staff show you how it's done. Limited number of places available, so don't miss out on this fantastic opportunity to not only learn about the world of radio through hands-on experience, but we want to help you find your voice. Send us your expressions of interest to inquiries at highlandradio.com. Brought to you in association with Commission Man.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by McElhinney's. Make your sterling go further with our new cash sales exchange rate at €1.20 for every £1 spent in store. No matter the weather, visit us in Ballybuffet for all your fashion, beauty, gifting and homeware needs this summer.
So the weather, dry with sunny spells this afternoon, but a few showers may develop later, so it's not as bad as it was forecast earlier. Temperatures 16 to 18 degrees. Mostly dry with clear spells early tonight. Lowest temperatures 18 to 10 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy and wet with outbreaks of rain or drizzle from late morning on. The rain will be heavy at times. Spot flooding actually is a possibility, we're told. Highest temperatures tomorrow 17 to 18 degrees. But a bit of high pressure is moving over us as we head towards Thursday, Friday and into the weekend. We've been working all of our lives and we do not get a medical card. We're not racist. Our issue is inequality between the taxpayers of this country and the people who have contributed nothing. Greg, why is my car insurance going up every year? No claims ever. Must have 30 plus years of driving, no claims, and every year it goes up and up. We're subsidising those that do have collisions and are making unnecessary claims, etc. Yeah, a lot of people feel that. Listen, have a fantastic Monday, will you? We'll be back with you tomorrow morning at 9, but don't go anywhere. John Breslin's around the Northwest after the news at 12. But for me, Greg Hughes and Caroline Orr, who researched and produced, as I say, enjoy your Monday.